reference as indicated, and which is dated 9th April 2024, requested the Kenya Airports Authority to reconvene the evaluation committee to evaluate the project development report submitted by Adani Airport Holdings. The evaluation was conducted from 15th to 19th of April 2024. Attached here with again is the letter as annexure number I. 2. Kenya Airports Authority, through a letter reference as indicated but dated May 2nd, 2024, forwarded the evaluation report of the project development report to the State Department of Transport and copied to the National Treasury for review. Attached herewith is the letter from the KAA evaluation report and addendum to the evaluation report. That is annexure J, K, and L respectively. This steered the process into the next stage, which is the assessment and approval of documents from project development phase to this end. Now, number one, the Directorate, Mr. Chairman, conducted an assessment of the evaluation report and prepared a technical working paper that was presented to the committee in its 46th ordinary meeting held on 3rd of May 2024. Attached again is the technical working paper of the Directorate on the matter, annexure number M. The PPP committee considered the project development report and granted approval to Kenya Airports Authority and Adani to proceed to negotiations with the assistance of a transaction advisor and address or negotiate the areas identified by the evaluation committee. Again, we have attached the letter on annexure number N, which is dated 9th May 2024. This is what one would call the preliminary heads of terms. Allow me, Mr. Chairman and members, to continue to outline the law in respect to the PIP process following the decision. Now that takes us to step number 10. Step number 10 is the procurement design stage. You can also call it negotiation of the PIP, section 44. So subsequent to approval of the PIP by the committee, the contracting authority shall, with the assistance of the Directorate, directly negotiate the project proposal with the private party. The direct negotiations with the private party shall be conducted within 6 months, culminating with a project agreement subject to obtaining the clearance of the Attorney General for development of the PPP project. If negotiations are not completed within 6 months, the negotiations shall be terminated. Now, if the contracting authority, which is now KAA, receives more than one privately initiated proposal and all proceed to the project development phase, then the contracting authority may use a restricted tendering process, and that is provided for under section 44, subsection 4. If the contracting authority determines that the project should be procured competitively because of market interest or the existence of equally competent alternative technologies that could deliver higher value for money to the government, the contracting authority may elect to subject the project to open competitive tender under this Act. That again is under section 44, subsection 5. And I want to emphasize there, Chair, may elect. Where the contracting authority determines that an open tender is in the public interest, it shall establish a clear and realistic timeline for the preparation of tender documentation and the administration of the bidding process. That you will find under section 44.6. Step number 11. Step number 11 is publication of feasibility studies, section 43.14. The contracting authority is required to publish the feasibility studies and project documentation used to evaluate the project, subject to disclosure guidelines on public-private partnership projects for the time being in. Step 12, approval of the concession agreement. The PPP committee is required to approve the execution of the project agreement between the contracting authority and proponent within 28 days after receiving the project and financial risk assessment report. Step number 13, comprehensive due diligence of the private party. Section 27 now of the Act. This is the due diligence conducted under Section 27. Remember, we have two of them, Chairman. There's one provided for under Section 41, and now we are under Section 27. A contracting authority, before execution of a project agreement, is required to undertake a comprehensive due diligence on the private party to establish A, the financial capacity of the private party to undertake the project, and B, the relevant experience of the private party in undertaking projects of similar nature, C, relevant technical expertise to undertake the project, and D, satisfied the legal, social, and environmental due diligence parameters prescribed by the PPP Directorate. In relation to Adani, Mr. Chairman, again, I don't want us to lose sight and focus on what is before us. What has followed has been negotiation of the PIP, Section 44. More specifically, following approval by the committee, Kenya Airports Authority proceeded to directly negotiate with Adani Airport Holdings Limited. 2, a negotiation committee was constituted and conducted negotiation through a series of in-person and teleconference meetings from 4th of June 2024 to date, and negotiated ahead of terms, as I mentioned earlier, detailing non-binding terms of the transaction. The committee included representatives from Kenya Airports Authority, which is the contracting authority, State Department for Transport as the line department, Kenya Civil Aviation Authority as interested party, State Law Office as required by law, and then PPP Directorate of the National Treasury, assisted by a transaction advisor procured by Kenya Airports Authority. The State Department of Transport, through a letter dated 13th of August 2024, and I've referenced it there, submitted the project and financial risk assessment report together with the heads of terms for consideration by the Public-Private Partnership Committee. Attached here is a copy of the letter, financial risk and assessment report, and heads of terms, annexure O, P, and Q respectively. The Directorate then prepared, this is number 4, an assessment of the evaluation report and prepared a technical working paper that was presented to the committee in its 47th ordinary meeting held on 21st of August 2024. Attached again is the technical working paper of the Directorate on the matter, annexure R. Number 5, the project and financial risk assessment report, together with the heads of terms, was presented to the committee at its 47th ordinary meeting held on 21st August 2024, as I stated earlier, and approval was granted to proceed to the drafting and negotiation of the concession agreement based on the agreed terms of the heads of terms. The committee directed that Kenya Airports Authority should ensure that ensures the following before signing the concession agreement. And there are 5, which were highlighted. A, cabinet concurrence on the implementation of the project. B, undertaking a detailed stakeholder engagement to proactively consider their needs. C, undertaking a detailed due diligence exercise of the Adani Airport Holdings Limited in accordance with Section 27 of the Act. D, any material changes to the heads of terms should be referred back to the committee for approval. And finally, obtaining the legal clearance of the concession agreement in accordance with Section 62 of the PPP Act. The PPP committee also directed the following issues should be addressed in the concession agreement. A, include clear provisions for open book accounting to ensure optimal and connection. All risks are identified, appropriately allocated, and suitable mitigation measures are provided. C, the CAPEX schedule and development plan for refurbishment of existing terminal should be clearly defined. D, Kenya Airports Authority should ensure that current employees of JKIA are onboarded by the concessionaire on priority basis. And Mr. Chairman, I wanted to emphasize that. D, that Kenya Airports Authority should ensure that current employees of JKIA are onboarded by the concessionaire on priority basis and on better terms. Further, that the concessionaire gives preference to recruitment of Kenyan nationals in all positions. And I'm sure the honorable members would understand why I'm emphasizing the issue of JKIA employees, because it was very contentious. The drafting of the agreement should ensure that the concessionaire is incentivized to meet revenue and EBITDA, in short, targets within the current aeronautical and non-aeronautical charges, so that the project's implementation does not result in an immediate increase in aeronautical and non-aeronautical charges. Any increase of charges, therefore, thereafter should follow the due process. Number F, cargo business should be well articulated and defined as to how it fits within the concession. And finally, G, local content should be considered in accordance with Section 83 of the Act 2021. Kenya Airports Authority should seek guidance on this from the PPP Directorate. Attached here with, again, Mr. Chairman, is a copy of the decision letter under reference as stated there, which is dated 22nd August 2024. It is annexure S. This logical flow, Mr. Chairman, is in line with the law for this process. And Mr. Chairman, the law requires that the next steps will include the following. Now I'm going to the next steps. Actually, this number one, Mr. Chairman, members will bear with me, was the most detailed. The others will be short, and I'm just almost coming to a close on the question number one. Step number 14, Mr. Chairman, is approval by the Attorney General. After approval of the project agreement by the PPP committee, the contracting authority is required to submit the final project agreement to the Attorney General for clearance prior to execution. And that step takes, the step number 15, actually there is no clear separation between step number 14 and 15, because step number 15 states as follows: notification to cabinet. The contracting authority, Kenya Airports Authority, shall notify the cabinet of the committee's approval to enter into a project agreement with the successful bidder. I say that the two can be conducted concurrently because communication to cabinets is usually through cabinet memos, and there is no cabinet memo which would go to the cabinet without the signature of the Attorney General and that of the CS National Treasury. So Attorney General would be making the approval and at the same time aiding or facilitating the cabinet memo to the cabinet. Step number 16 is execution of project agreements, which is found under section 61 of the Act. So upon obtaining the approvals and furnishing the notifications under section 60, the contracting authority shall execute the project agreement with a private party. Mr. Chairman, it is important to note that in the Adani instance, the concession agreement is in the process of being drafted by the transaction advisors procured by the Kenya Airports Authority, after which the Government of Kenya Negotiation Committee will review and agree on the terms before negotiating with Adani Airports Holdings Limited. With regard to the application of section 44.5 and 44.6 of the PPP Act, there has thus far been no determination in this respect. So having outlined, Chairman and members, allow me now to proceed to the other questions in your letter to me subject to this section.
As you proceed, I want to get those steps, or first of all we complete?
Yes. The Chairman, I was requesting I just finish,
right,
because they are actually tied. So your question number 2, Chairman, was on the procurement method that the Public-Private Partnerships Directorate advised Kenya Airports Authority to use in undertaking the project. And there, Mr. Chairman, you will allow me, and that's why I'm making written submission, that there are 2 items highlighted there, but I want to add a third one, which will be now number 1. So number 1 in the list should be number 2, and number 2 becomes number 3. So if I'm allowed, I can proceed here. And So the advice is as follows. So the Directorate advised the contracting authority on all procurement methods available under the Act. So that is a general one, that the the Directorate advised the contracting authorities on all procurement methods available under the Act, and therefore, 2, which was number 1 in the list, it is the responsibility of the contracting authority to determine the procurement method to be used for a particular PPP project. Number 3, which is number 2 in here in the written submission, is that the National Treasury received a PIP from the State Department for Transport on 1st of March 2024, and the process of finalizing the transaction is still ongoing. So the third question, Mr. Chairman, was the status of the PIP by Adani Airport Holdings Limited, and I respond as follows. 1, the project is at negotiation phase following approval by the committee at its 47th ordinary meeting held on 21st August 2024. The PPP committee directed the contracting authority as follows. A, obtain cabinet concurrence on the implementation of the project. B, undertake a detailed stakeholder engagement to proactively consider their needs for social acceptability for the project. And C, undertake a detailed due diligence exercise of the Adani Airport Holdings Limited in accordance with Section 27 of the PPP Act. D, ensure any material changes to the heads of terms should be referred back to the PPP committee for approval. And head of terms simply mean broad clauses that could be found in the agreement. Number E, which is the final one, obtain the legal clearance of the concession agreement in accordance with Section 60 subsection 2 of the Act. Number 2, a team comprising of Kenya Airports Authority, the State Department for Transport, the State Law Office, and the DPP Directorate of the National Treasury is currently in the process of undertaking a comprehensive due diligence exercise to establish the requisite capacity of Adani Airport Holdings Limited to undertake the project. And finally, number 3, Kenya Airports Authority and a number of other government institutions, including the National Treasury, is in the process of undertaking comprehensive due diligence exercise to establish the requisite capacity of Adani Airport Holdings Limited and stakeholder engagement of the project for social acceptance. Question number 4, Mr. Chairman. You asked about the due diligence undertaken under Section 27 and 41 of the PPP Act, Cap 430. Even though I've already addressed it, if in my comprehensive I was giving step-by-step, blow-by-blow details on how the whole thing was conducted or the process was conducted, but I still will repeat. Number 1, the PPP Act 2021 requires due diligence to be undertaken at 2 levels as provided in Section 41 and 27 of the Act. 2, Section 41 requires that a due diligence is conducted by the Directorate and then contracting authority to confirm the private party is not debarred, that I already mentioned, by any country or any international organizations from participating in PPPs or similar arrangement. B, is not corrupt. C, is not insolvent. D, is tax compliant. I think this should be compliant, not complaints. It's tax compliant in all jurisdictions in which it has local presence and its home country, and that it is not in default on payment of social security and employment benefits or contributions in its jurisdictions of operation and registration. And E, has not, and its directors or officers have not been convicted of any criminal offense. Number 3, now Section 27. Section 27, on the other hand, requires that a comprehensive due diligence exercise is conducted by the contracting authority before signing the project agreement to establish the financial capacity of the private party to undertake the project, that is A. B, relevant experience of the private party in undertaking projects of similar nature. C, relevant technical expertise to undertake the project. D, and satisfied the legal, social, and environmental due diligence parameters prescribed by the Directorate. Number 4, the Evaluation Committee undertook a high-level due diligence in accordance with Section 41 of the Act, as highlighted in my response to question number 1 above, where they highlighted, I think, 22 issues. Now, number 5, the government is in the process of undertaking a comprehensive due diligence exercise in line with Section 27 of the Act to establish the requisite capacity of Adani Airport Holdings Limited to undertake the project. Now, question number 5, Mr. Chairman, you have asked for copies of PIP's expression of interest received from investors on development of airports since 2022. The scope of information available to my ministry in relation to this question is as follows. Number 1, National Treasury was in copy or is in copy. We have a copy of a PIP submitted to Kenya Airports Authority via a letter dated 25th April 2023 by Adani Airports Holdings Limited, which is attached as annexure number T. Number 2, via a letter dated 9th June 2023, the National Treasury we have a letter requesting the State Department of Transport to forward concept notes for candidates PPP projects in the aviation sector. This was a prompting letter because once we received the communication from KAA that Adani was interested in a PPP to develop the airport, it took a while. We gave time as Treasury. It took a while, and then we prompted the ministry. So via the letter, number 3, via a letter as reference, and which is dated 12th June 2023, informed the State Department of Transport acknowledging receipt of a PIP by Adani Airport Holdings Limited, and that Kenya Airports Authority is yet to formally submit the PIP and their preliminary appraisal. Annexure V. Number 4, the State Department for Transport, via a letter reference there, Mr. Chairman, but dated 29th June 2023, informed the National Treasury that Adani Airports Holdings Limited had on 27th April 2023 submitted a PIP to Kenya Airports Authority for a 30-year PPP concession for JKIA under a build, operate, and transfer arrangement. The letter further stated that the Kenya Airports Authority Board of Directors, in its 358th meeting held on the 16th of June 2023, noted the expression of interest for the PPP arrangements for JKIA and other airports as from the following companies. Number 1 is Almaya Group, Kenya, in December 2022 for Isiolo Airport. Number 2, China Jiangxi International Economic and Technical Cooperation in April 2023 for Wilson Airport. Number 3, Terminal Holdings, Abu Dhabi in May 2023 for JKIA. Number 4, China Roads and Bridge Corporation in May 2023 for JKIA. And number 5, Motor Angel Africa Corporation, America, JV, in June 2023 for JKIA. Attached again here with is a copy of the letter from the State Department for Transport, which is annexure W. Number 5, on August 24th, 2023, Kenya Airports Authority appeared before the PPP Committee seeking guidance on how to prioritize the proposed concession for JKIA to a private investor for purposes of constructing a new terminal and rehabilitating the existing terminal under PPP arrangement. Between 25th August 2023 and 15th September 2023, Kenya Airports Authority engages ALG for provision of transaction advisory services, which is a firm. This ALG is a consultancy firm for provision of transaction advisory services for the development and expression of JKIA, annexure number X. Subsequently, that is number 7, the National Treasury, through a letter reference as indicated there, but dated 6th of September 2023, advised the State Department for Transport on 3 essential steps for competitive procurement and advised them to constitute the project development team and finalize the feasibility study within the timelines they had indicated. That's annexure Y. Now, this is number 8. And through a letter, through an email dated 8th November 2023, the Director General of PPP in the Directorate informed Kenya Airports Authority of the International Finance Corporation proposal to provide transaction advisory services for the proposed development and expansion of JKIA. Attached here with this again a copy of the email correspondent as annexure number Z. Now, number 9, through a letter dated 22nd November 2023, the State Department of Transport then wrote to the National Treasury, informing the National Treasury that Kenya Airports Authority is currently undertaking the feasibility study for the proposed project, and that the study will be finalized by December 2023. That is Annexure AA. On 14th February 2024, ALG submit the interim feasibility study report to Kenya Airports Authority. Attached here with is a copy of the interim report as Annexure BB. Number 11, on 16th February 2024, ALG make presentation of the draft interim feasibility study report to Kenya Airports Authority, PPP Directorate and State Department for Transport. Again, I have attached here with a copy of the presentation as Annexure number CC. Number 12 is the State Department of Transport through a letter, reference as indicated there, dated 19th February 2024, forwarded the feasibility study report to the National Treasury for construction of a new passage terminal at JKIA, Annexure DD. Subsequently, via letter, reference as indicated, but dated 1st March, the State Department of Transport submitted a PIP by Adani Airport Holdings Limited, currently under assessment. That is Annexure A and B as earlier cited. So this is the one that we dealt with earlier. And actually that is the one that is the subject of this interrogation, Mr. Chairman. Number 14, subsequently, through a letter as referenced there and dated 1st March, the State Department of Transport submitted a PIP by Adani Airport Holdings Limited, currently under assessment. Again, I repeat, Annexure A and B as earlier cited. Number 6, or question 6.
But I believe members who've listened very attentively would also want to engage you on your response. And members, we are going to do as we did last time, give you a few minutes to put your questions, then the CS will be able to answer. Then we go to the next member. So members, the floor is yours. And I've also noted that in the documents, one of the documents that you have referred to us, the head
Chairman, there's a complete one inside the documents.
You do?
There's a complete one presented by the Treasury inside the documents.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a complete one, and I just checked.
All right, then mine seems to be missing that one. But it's okay, I'll check that as we go. And also members, you requested for the letter, the cover letter that his response with, and I've been told that we rest that matter there. Members, yes, Senator Sifuna.
In fact, Chair, let me begin where you say you want to rest the matter. I have seen a copy of that forwarding letter, and my only advice is that this is not the standard expected. In fact, the letter should have said the things that the CS said when he gave his response, that we hereby attach the following documentation in response to your letter so that we can know that it covers all these issues. So, Chair, allow me to begin my questions. Honorable CS, this approval by the PPP committee is the crux of the matter. So we are going to focus there. You have repeatedly referred to approval by the PPP committee, first at its meeting held on 13th March 2024, and then there is also reference to approval at a meeting of, ordinary meeting held on 3rd May 2024. I perused these documents at length. I do not see the minutes of these two meetings. Did you attach the minutes of the meetings of the PPP committee that you have referenced? Honorable CS, I like that my questions are answered. I finish with you, then it will be handed to somebody else. Did you submit minutes of those two meetings? Say yes or no?
You can answer that.
The minutes are not supplied, but they're available. We can give the minutes. You know, the minutes are very bulky. So
you will agree with me, CS, that if we wanted to know what a meeting, the decision the meeting took, it is critical for us to have the minutes of that meeting. It's critical to have those minutes.
This committee will get the minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Now, I want to address something you've also touched on your response. If you go to, Honorable Chair, if you go to section, I'm getting mixed up. CS, who is supposed to submit a PIP to the committee, the PPP committee?
That should be done by the directorate. Actually, the process is the contracting authority submits to the directorate.
Correct.
Which is at the National Treasury.
Now, you have attached a letter here. A letter dated 1st of March 2024 that is signed by PIP.
Now, the law says contracting authority,
correct,
but contracting authority is domiciled, in this case, in that State Department, and the procedure in government is usually when you are communicating to another ministry, it comes through the parent ministry, the State Department. So there's nothing completely wrong. So long as you indicate that that PIP proposal was to the KAA, which is the contracting authority. So the letter...
Yes, if the law was followed, the contracting authority being KAA should be the one submitting the PIP because it is delivered to them. Now let's move on to something you've touched on about the membership of this PPP committee.
But Chair, with your indulgence, I think we need to sort out that. The contracting authority here is KAA.
Yes.
They receive PIP. They decided, and which there's nothing wrong, because the law does not. If the law is stating that they should not, then that's a different story. But so long as AAA has submitted the PIP to the line PS, and then the line PS submits it to Treasury, indicating that this is the PIP received by KAA. So I don't see any ambiguity there.
Chair, perhaps that is the view that Honorable Mbadi would want to have. I want to read you the law as it is, not as it ought to be. Section 40, subsection 4, the contracting authority, which is KAA, shall submit the privately initiated proposal to the Directorate for assessment and approval. I want to move on because I have very little time. Chair, you will understand why I'm asking this question. You spoke about the membership of the PPP committee, Honorable Chair. You have taken us through the members of that PPP committee. You will agree with me that, in fact, if you look at the letter of 1st March 2024, it is a letter originating from a member of the PPP committee to another member of the PPP committee. Isn't that the case, Honorable CS?
Yes.
That is bound to happen, because I've already said that even if he was not a member, he would be co-opted. So
just what the letter is saying, if it is coming from the CS for transport, the PS for transport going to the PS Chris Kipto of National Treasury, those are both members of the PPP committee.
The transport PS is a co-opted member.
They are both members of the committee.
By virtue, is not a designated member as per the law, but the law says you co-opt the line PS. And so he is a member, co-opted member. He is communicating a PIP which was received by KAA, and by the way, KAA is the one that communicated to the PS.
Where is that correspondence in your documents?
That can be found, that we can touch.
Let's move to Annexure D, which is the evaluation report. You have taken us through the standard that has been set by the law when it comes to evaluation of these proposals, Chair. I want us to go to the evaluation report at Annexure D. Are we there, Honorable Mbadi? Are we there? Yes, so there is a summary of the due diligence that is found at page 6 of that report. It starts from page 6. Are we together?
You can proceed, I can see it.
So there is a table there, Honorable Mbadi, that sets out the parameter, the attribute, the indicators, and the remarks.
I think, Chair, maybe we are having different reports.
I am at Annexure D. This is the KA evaluation report of the PIP by Adani Airport Holdings.
You can hold a bit, we get it.
Chair, I hope you'll not accuse me of taking too much time. It's the witness.
Noted.
Which is page 6. I think we are together now. You can proceed.
We are together.
Summary of the due diligence.
Yes, you can see the parameter, the attribute, the indicators, and the remarks. I want you to go to the parameter on debarment, where you are required to have confirmation or verification to ensure that neither the proponent nor its affiliates are listed on either the World Bank and PPRA list of ineligible firms and individuals for engagement in procurement. You can see that. And on the remarks, it says they provided a sworn notarized declaration. Is that reference to a self-declaration by Adani themselves? So they did not provide anything other than what they swore themselves. Is that correct? I need you to be on record, Honorable CS, because you know this is answered.
Chair, I thought the member would just ask a question, then I respond. Because
you are not responding. I have asked you're
that the way it should be conducted, Chairman?
Yes, sometimes we take that route, so it's okay.
That's a very tedious route, but go ahead. Yes, I can see.
Honorable Chair, this is an acceptable comment from the Honorable CS. We sat here and listened to you take us through for 1 hour. It was extremely tedious, and we did not complain.
We didn't complain.
So if you answer my questions, we will move quickly and get out of here as soon as possible. So you can see that it was a self-declaration, not the standard expected by the Act. Let's go to the question on corrupt practices.
But Chair, with all due respect, why do you say it is not accepted by the Act? Can you cite the Act?
You have said...
You know that you want me to be saying yes or no. I don't agree with that. So can you go to the Act and cite that for me?
Honorable Mbadi.
Yes.
You are required to provide confirmation that none of these people are listed on World Bank and PPRA list of ineligible firms. Surely that does not mean that they can tell you themselves that we are not listed. That is not the standard. Secondly, on corrupt practices, they have also provided a notarized declaration. That is a sworn affidavit.
So can I just respond?
Yes.
I have clear information that even though they did this sworn affidavit, it was confirmed through checking the website of World Bank to confirm the same. So if you want me to state that on record, I'm stating that that was checked and was found.
It is not in this report by KA.
Well, you don't have to put everything on report, but I'm just reporting. That's why.
It's okay.
Pardon?
Let's move on because I have very limited
what I'm
time.
saying.
Through you, Chair.
You know, I'm under oath.
Just through you, Chair. I mean, what is our brother? What has just happened to you? What are you saying? That they don't have to do that? That is exactly the crux of the matter of Adani. That is it, Bro John. If you don't see it, then we're wasting our time here.
So I'm also reporting to you, Honorable Nyonga. You can have your opinion. My opinion is this. I'm under oath, and I'm stating as follows. The Evaluation Committee did check the World Bank sites and confirmed that that is the case.
Through you, Chair, can I respond?
Chair,
In the report here, that statement is made is propaganda. It's not there.
As I had indicated, I think let's give Senator his time. Then
Thank you, proceed. I was just making it point of information.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Chairman, over the page, the law again, CS, is that they are supposed to confirm that they are not subject to any current legal proceedings. That is over the page on the parameter of insolvency. Do you see that, Honorable Chair, Honorable CS? CS, if you nod
That is, you are asking about the criminal conviction?
No.
Which one?
The parameter is insolvency.
Yes,
they are supposed to confirm that they have not been suspended and is not subject to any current legal proceedings.
Correct.
Correct. Now, what did they provide in the column for indicators?
Provided a sworn affidavit, financial statements, as at 31st March 2023.
You are reading a totally different document.
Which one?
The document I have says they provided audited financial statements. There's no mention of an affidavit.
I am mentioning it because I'm under oath. And I want to, so that I make your work easy, Senator Sifuna, because you will ask me. I am telling you that this audited financial statement as of 31st March 2023 was provided under a sworn affidavit. If you want evidence of that, we can.
Honorable Mbadi, you're a CPA, I'm a lawyer. You know for a fact that whether somebody has live criminal or civil proceedings going on is not contained in financial statements. There has to be something else to confirm that there doesn't exist any litigation.
You
yes
see,
or no?
What was the indicator? The indicator was proponent to provide audited financial statements.
No.
That is what I have in the sheet. Can you just go back?
Under the law,
Sifuna, Chair, please.
Let's
read.
You are reading
under the law.
Allow
I'm
me to
reading
put the
for
question.
you my documents. Can you read my document?
Let's direct
I'm reading your document.
Senator Sifuna and...
So, Chair, what do you have under indicators?
Let's direct your conversation through the Chair.
Honorable Chair, just allow me to read. Yes.
Can you read the indicators?
Honorable Chair.
Number 7.
We are here. What are you people doing? Honorable Chair, I am reading the Honorable CS's own documents. He's the one who's attempting to amend his own documents.
Read that part you're referring to.
One of the parameters, and it is in the law, is you need to confirm that it is not, the entity is not subject to any current legal proceedings. That is not something that can be found in financial statements.
So where
Chair,
did you get the indicators from?
Chair, we have three items here. There is insolvency, tax compliant, and criminal conviction. Now, under insolvency, attribute is not insolvent, under receivership or bankrupt, and its affairs are not being administered by a court or judicial officer. Its business activities have not been suspended, and it is not subject to any current legal curriculum. And then that is why the financial statements were provided.
That's what I'm saying, CS. It is not the requirement, the required document to demonstrate that people have no litigation cannot be the financial statements. Let me move on to the tax compliance in the jurisdictions in which it has local tax presence. It says here in the remarks that you provided an Indian income tax return acknowledgement. Is it the position that Adani only operates in India?
Chair, I may not know how many countries Adani operates in, but I know that the mother or the parent country where tax compliance is domiciled is India.
But the requirement of in which it has local tax presence.
Yes, that is what is in the law.
Okay, let me move very quickly, Honorable Chair, to page actually 22, Honorable Chair. I wanted to ask Chair, the CS needs to listen to the question so that he doesn't.
Yeah,
you're on page.
Chair, I think that's not fair to me. Have I been answering my own questions?
No, when I'm going to ask the question, I can see you engage in another conversation.
You can't
maybe the CS can multitask.
Yeah? I know the CS, Honorable Chair.
You can't be able to determine.
I know he cannot multitask. I know him.
Just go ahead.
Ask your question.
Yes, under the special purpose vehicle provision there, you will see that there is a requirement you clear that the proponent should clear the nexus between Adani Airport Holding Limited and Abu Dhabi Consortium Company. That is at page 37 of the PIP. CS, can you confirm whether that has been done?
Chair, I think let us not mix issues here. This was a recommendation for detailed due diligence, which is still ongoing.
Correct.
So that will be determined later.
So you're saying it has not been done?
It has not been done.
Okay.
Or if it has been done, it has not been communicated to the National Treasury.
Now, there was a discussion also, Chair, on the question of employment, and this is at page 27 of the same document. Your counterpart from Treasury was here, not Treasury, from Transport, and he told this committee that all current employees of KA all current employees of KA will be offered an opportunity to work once Adani take over the airports. If you read at page 27 on employees, it talks about the proponent proposes to offer employment to a mutually agreed percentage of current employees of the contracting authority on terms and conditions as provided in the concession agreement. What percentage were they proposing, if you're aware? What percentage are they saying they can absorb?
I'm trying to get the part of my answer to that question because I'd read it earlier. Even though that was what was offered by the proponent, I may not have the percentages, but the recommendation from committee was very clear.
Yeah, I'm talking about their proposal. What were they proposing? That
was proposal of Adani.
What were they proposing? What percentage?
I can't be able to. Yeah, so the percentage they were taking, I may need to cross-check in their proposal. It might be in the proposal document which we have here.
Very well.
But one thing that I want to be clear on is that was their proposal, but the recommendation of the committee is totally different. The committee is recommending as follows, that the Kenya Airports Authority should ensure that current employees of JKIA are onboarded by the concessionaire on priority basis.
Very well. You have said you don't know what percentage they are proposing. In the final question on this document, Chair, is that therefore CS, the conclusion that is found at this page is not numbered, but I suppose it's page 30. There are conclusions and recommendations there, and the conclusion is that the proponent has provided all documentation in accordance with the requirements of Section 41 of the PPP Act 2021. That conclusion and recommendation cannot be true, Honorable CS, after what we have gone through. There are gaps in the documentation.
Chair, I agree that there are gaps, and those gaps clearly have enumerated. The first one was 22, there are 19. Those are all documented. The PPP committee made recommendation that before we go to the project development phase, then these are supposed to be provided. So they are properly documented. And by the way, the committee will not approve the project, the process will not proceed to conclusion until and unless those conditions are met. Okay, then you speak a working paper, which I think you have annexed as Annexure E. And Honorable Chair, this one I have problems with it. The same problem I had with the document that the CS referred to. These recommendations of the PPP Directorate, because they are important, Honorable Chair, you will notice that first, they are unsigned. They are unsigned, Honorable CS. Is it possible for recommendations of a PPP Directorate to take the form that you have brought before this House? And Annexure E. Mr. Chairman, maybe these are technical working papers, the way I understand it, and it was submitted to the committee. Once it is submitted, then a decision is taken and they're adopted. But if you want the directorate, if it's a requirement, then you can ask the directorate to confirm the same. But these are information from the directorate, so I don't see why they should. If you were to encounter that document, Honorable CS Mbadi, in your office, it is not on letterhead, it is not signed by anyone, and then somebody tells you these are the recommendations of a PPP Directorate, would you accept that standard? You know, if I encounter documents anyhow in my office, I would not treat them seriously. Thank you. I'm not treating this one seriously as well. I only treat seriously a document that someone can own. Honorable Chair, let me move to something he said about the powers of this PPP committee. Honorable CS, you read to us the law again on PPP, and it says that it is the committee to make the decision approving a PIP, right? That is the law. The law you read us. Are you aware whether the decision of the PPP committee is subject to appeal or direction from any other quarters under the law? I haven't seen that in the law. I have read the law. I have not seen where it can be appealed, but you may cite. Can a procuring entity direct the PPP on what to do? The PPP committee. Peace committee is supposed to work independently. Very well. So yes. You have attached a letter here and Annexure L, and I want you to go with me there. There's a letter and Annexure L. It's actually a memo. This memo is originating from Henry Ogoe, the
acting managing director of KA, the procuring entity, addressed to the chairperson, PIP Evaluation Committee. Honorable Mbadi, please read for us the last paragraph on that letter.
You are therefore directed to reconvene the committee sittings and amend the report accordingly.
Do you think that is proper for the procuring entity to be directing the PIP committee to reconvene so that they can amend their report?
Yeah, I don't think this letter was to the PPP committee.
What does it say at the top?
This is chairperson PIP Evaluation Committee.
You don't see any problem
which is
with
a
that?
technical body, basically from KAA. It's actually the KAA which is leading it with the directorate. It's not a directive to the committee, as you had earlier indicated.
Okay. Let's see what the committee recommends under Annexure M. Honorable Chair, Annexure M, there is a recommendations of the PPP Directorate. I don't know if we're together, Chair, or I'm moving too fast.
You're okay.
I'm with you, Chair. I'm aligned. I'm moving as fast as Senator Sifuna is moving.
Again, Chair, I have similar problems with this document. The document is not on letterhead. It is not signed by anyone. This is the PPP Committee Technical Working Paper on the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Now, at page 9, there is a recommendation at the bottom there, Honorable Mbadi. I wish that you read it for the committee as well.
Page
9 of that report.
Yeah, I can read.
Paragraph 6.
Let me read it. The Evaluation Committee made recommendations which the PPP Directorate endorses and conveys.
You are reading the wrong document.
Okay.
There is Annexure M. Annexure M.
So which document do you have? Could you kindly read it? Because, so that we don't go back and forth. Is it, no, because you said paragraph 6, recommendations of
Honorable
the
Body, this is your own document. I am going by the way you filed them.
And
it's
exactly
Annexure M on my file.
which
Annexure
page?
M on my file at page 9.
Chair, let me read what I have. If you have another one, you can read it, Senator Sifuna, so that we can know which one is the correct one.
Read yours.
Recommendations of the PPP Directorate. Okay. My apologies, I think we got the wrong one.
Now you are accusing me of reading my own things. Yes, you are the one reading the wrong things.
You see, Senator Sifuna, these documents are many and bulky.
But you went ahead to accuse me of reading the wrong documents. I am using your bundle. This document came from you.
Let me just stay focused and read what you wanted me to read. I think we don't have luxury of time. In several respects, as detailed in the observations above, the feasibility study report submitted by the proponent has not fully satisfied the evaluation criteria of project feasibility and affordability. The Evaluation Committee made recommendations which the PPP Directorate endorses and conveys to the PPPC.
Thank you. I just needed you to cover that part under the recommendations, which has called out that the proponent has not fully satisfied the evaluation criteria of the project. Chair, allow me to conclude, because I can see, I know that my colleagues would also want to add something. There is a communication, the last annexure actually, Chair. I think it's, this one is XYZ, the last one. There is a letter dated 11th March 2024. It originated from Christopher Kirigwa, the Director General of Public-Private Partnerships, to the Honorable Solicitor General, Shadrach Mose. I wanted confirmation that there was a response to that letter. Did the Solicitor General nominate a state council as per the request of the PPP Directorate?
Yeah, we could have, Kirigwa is here. If he got a response, he could just respond to that so that I don't have to belabor the point.
It's okay. You can delegate for that response.
Thank you, Chair. Senator Sifuna, I confirm, Honorable, we did receive a response and he nominated individuals.
Where is that response?
Honorable, I'll check if we have it here, but I'll try within the course of this meeting, we'll share it with you.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So it's not here? It's fine.
It's not here, you're right.
Chair, I yield it back to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Before I give the next senator to give a comment, Bwana CS, on the issue, the question that was raised by Senator Sifuna on the evaluation report, you indicated that you were only concerned with the mother country, that is India. Yet in your response, page 3, you quoted the act that said you needed to check due diligence on the private party under Section 41 of the PPP Act is conducted by the Directorate and the contracting authority to confirm that the private party is not debarred by any country or any international organization from participating in PPPs or similar arrangement. So is it your word that you only concentrated on India?
Chair, let me make it clear. Number one, that there is World Bank sites where you can get this information, and that was checked. 2, the proponent provided what we call notarized documents by external counsel. So if you have all that, and they are supporting, and this at this stage, Chair, I want us to also be very clear. There are 2 due diligence that need to be done. The first one is a preliminary due diligence, which is high level. And then there will now be a detailed due diligence under Section 7, which is now going on. So not all due diligence would be done at that stage. There is due diligence that you do to give way and give room to the next. That is why there are timelines. Some of the timelines are very short, by the way. So, Chair, I want to say that this process is ongoing. As a matter of fact, if it went to conclusion, the Senate would now be investigating a matter that has all the facts presented. But as it is, there are certain aspects of it that could still be ongoing.
And I know you're new in the department, but also from your documentation, this PIP came in April 2023. But it was only acted upon in March 2024. And it took 10 days even to have an evaluation report. Are you not reading something that's not correct with that process?
I'm not. In fact, Mr. Chairman, I've really taken my time, and also as an auditor, I really read this act. The proposal that was submitted in 2023 did not proceed further. And there could be many reasons. In fact, this project of procurement is a very interesting one, PIP. If you don't comply, then it just stops. And you can resubmit again. So the one that we are dealing with, Chair, is the one for March 1st, 2024. The one for 2023, April, did not proceed. And there were other interested parties which, instead of bringing a PIP proposal, as is expected by law, brought expressions of interest. And there is nowhere in the law where it is provided that you proceed with the expression of interest. I've had questions asked that there are other people who are interested. There is no PIP on JKIA.
A point of order,
Those
Chair.
were expressions of interest.
Point of order, Chair. I think the CS is misleading the committee. You yourself have listed the procurement methods that are allowed under the PPP Act. In your own response, you have said competitive bidding is a way of procurement under this Act. Why are you ruling out expression of interest? It's a competitive bidding process.
But, Chair, I was responding to PIP. We have 3 methods. The contracting authority can choose any. 4 methods. The contracting authority can choose any. I'm not ruling out expression of interest.
Chairman, that is where the problem is. It cannot make sense that it is up to the procuring entity to determine which process it will going to use. So CS Mbadi, when did, because the CS for transport was in the Senate in 2023. And he told us publicly that the policy of government was to float an expression of interest, international one, for the development of JKIA. When did that policy change? Because you cannot tell us that you leave it to the procuring entity to determine PIP, and yet PIP, by its own nature, is supposed to be unsolicited. So if KA secretly decide that we're only going through privately initiated proposals, how do they just sit in the dark and wait for people to initiate proposals? That does not make any sense.
Chair, unfortunately, that is the law. You see, let me go back.
That's not the law.
Chair,
It's not the law.
Let me just go
Let
back.
us hear his explain.
It's a point of argument. Honorable Sifuna's opinion, Honorable Onyonka's opinion, Mbadi is also entitled to his opinion. And let me give my opinion. This area of PPP, honorable members, is a new area. That is why we came up with a law in 2021. And if you look at the act, I wish I had that act. Where is it? If you look at the law, it's here with me. If you look at the law, under section 4(2), it says the provisions of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015 shall not apply to a public-private partnership. It goes even ahead to say that under subsection 5, where there is a conflict between the provisions of this act and the provisions of any other written law, the provisions of this act shall prevail. This is still a very new, nascent area, if you ask me. And it is something that may not take the conventional route. In fact, I was looking at the procurement methods provided and wondering, how come it starts with direct procurement? If you look at the four, the first one is direct procurement, the second one is PIP, then the third one is now competitive bidding, and the last one is restrictive. And the law does not say that the most preferred is competitive. This is a PPP, private individuals with their money coming to invest
Point of
in
order,
our country.
Chair. Point of
it
order,
is
Chair.
not something that you
I would
subject
like-
your own thinking. I'm stating the law.
This,
I
Chair,
think Senator Onyonka, being the person who
Chair,
requested
thank you.
this statement,
We have requested-
I'm now giving you your opportunity for the 5 minutes.
Thank you.
So that you can ask your questions.
Thank you.
To close the session.
I wanted to
Allow colleagues.
literally ask my brother John Mbadi that he needs to understand that is the CS Finance. Treasury, boss, if you were to borrow money under any auspices for your country, what would you negotiate for? Value for money, straight bidding, reasonable expectation, public participation. Do I need to go through those things? Let me come to my questions. Chair, thank you for giving me the opportunity. If we go back to the Hansard, I wanted to ask CS John Mbadi, if you go to the Hansard, the CS Honorable Chirchir, when we asked him, and I would want this question to be answered by your DG if possible, but that's up to you. Were there any other companies that actually made an offer over this or inquired about this transaction that you gave to Adani, other than Adani? Because when I look at these documents you've given here, you could have actually thought this report was being written by Adani, the figures have been put in by Adani. Of course, Your Excellency John, you were not there, but you would think all these guys who work for the PPP were Adani employees. By the way, have any of you gone to India recently? So those are two questions you can answer.
Waziri?
Let me respond. Let me ask Kirigwa first, because you wanted him to respond. I don't want to appear like I'm gagging him and maybe concealing any information. Once it's done, maybe I'll add what I wanted to say. Go ahead.
DG?
Thank you, Senator. Through our submission, Senator, we have, through the chair, we did submit a letter that was shared to us by the State Department of Transport. There were other expressions of interest on the letter of 2023 that indicated the companies that had expressed interest. Adani had also expressed interest in April 2023. Honorable Member, let me clarify on that. That proposal was never sent to us at the Treasury. The only proposal that was sent to us at the Treasury was the March 1st, 2024 proposal by Adani. And thereafter, Adani did make payment for the PIP.
Thank you. Could I ask you a following, through you, Chair? Do you have any correspondence from the people who actually showed interest in this work?
Chair, through the Chair, the only correspondence we do have is one, the Adani proposal that was sent to us in April 2023. We were in copy of that.
Thank you. So, you don't have any other company that you think was interested or file the documents to make an inquiry to ask the Kenya Airports Authority whether there was need for the authority to provide services for them to go and check at the port in Mombasa, go to Eldoret? You have no letter like that?
Chair, through the Chair, I'll refer to you to the exact letter, which is on the...
No, you already said you didn't have any letter. So which one are you bringing?
The one that came to us...
from Adani?
No, not from Adani. The one that...
You just said you didn't have any other letter.
The letter from Adani...
Let's have the letter.
Chair, just
please.
1 second.
If you can give him a minute.
I'll ask you to kindly open section W.
That letter is from who?
State Department of Transport. The one from Adani is the one that came in April.
You know what you're doing?
Sorry.
You're assuming all of us are stupid. Stop that. Did you receive a letter through you, Chair,
Senator,
from any other company other than Adani requesting to do this project?
The answer is no, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to table, I have 3 letters which were written by 2 different companies. Adani was the third one. The follow-up question I would like to ask, Chair, after I've tabled this...
Can you table that?
I will. After I've tabled this, is this: did you correspond to any other company? Because they have your stamps, their documents were received. Did you write back to either express disappointment or tell them they had not qualified for this transaction?
The clerk can assist to get the document.
Yeah, the clerk, you can come, I give you this, and you can show them to them.
So that we can also...
And Chair, I would like in a very, very fast way, I'm going to read this letter. One is from a company called GMR. It's actually a company from India. All right, and Chair, I never solicited these documents. It's the public who have been sending, I think, the owners of these companies. They say submission of expression of interest, letter of interest for exploring the development management operations of Jomo Kenyatta Airline. This dated the 16th of November, 2022. Okay. The next letter, and I will table this. The other company is called Nexus Logic. This is an American company that required security provision requesting for the executives from a Corporation America Airports Authority, which is called CAAP, and a company called Nexus Logic. They wanted to come to Jomo Kenyatta Airport on the Wednesday, 10th of July, 2024. Then they wanted to come to the Mombasa International Airport, and they were going to Kisumu and Eldoret. And this letter is here. It's received by your office, and I have that. And I would also like to table you the letter from Adani, which is written on the 31st of March 2024. So I would like to table, Chair.
Clerk.
The letters, could I just confirm, Chair, the letters were addressed to who?
The first letter is addressed to Hon, the Principal Secretary, Minister of Transport, Infrastructure, Transcom House, Ngong Road. That's the first one from GMR. The second letter is addressed to the Chief Executive Officer, Kenya Airports Authority, and they even say it was hand-delivered. The second letter was actually to the Managing Director, Kenya Airports Authority in Nairobi, Kenya, and all these documents were received
So can I
and
just
stamped
respond?
by your office.
So can I just respond, Chair? Chair. First, we have been talking about...
Chair, I have not finished through you. Before he responds, please let me
I'm
interrogate the
responding
matter.
to your earlier question. I said...
No, let me just finish this.
But we would still want to
important.
see your document.
Here you go.
Yes.
Chair, on those documents, you know, when you table a document, it's my right to respond to those documents. So before you proceed, can I respond?
But you look at them, what are you answering? You've not even seen them.
You have read. That's why I've asked you.
John, I haven't read the details.
I have asked
Yes.
you, who are they addressed to? Chairman, can I go ahead and
Yes,
say?
respond.
Chair, we have been talking about the law here. PIP process is a process. You address the proposal to the authority. If you write to President Ruto, that cannot be a PIP proposal. It cannot go anywhere. So the first letter was addressed...
Chair, can I respond?
The first letter, I'm just giving...
CS is wasting our time.
Let him finish.
You are equally also maybe
Allow
wasting my
the
time.
CS.
There's nothing we are
Senator,
discussing, John.
Please, let's respect each other.
Allow the CS to
If you ask
finish.
me a question, I've come here, this is a matter of national importance, for heaven's sake. Let us be
The reason,
Let's
yes,
have
the reason why
between
I
the
am
both of
reacting
us.
to you the way I am is because you've not even seen the
I have
letter.
not come
And
here.
you're busy responding. Stop
I've
gatekeeping.
come here.
These things you can't gatekeep
I am
anymore.
not gatekeeping.
Stop gatekeeping.
And please,
we must
also
deal with this
respect-
issue nationally. It's a
If you
national
invited
important
me here to
issue.
supply information, wait for the information. If you don't need it, Kenyans need it.
Proceed.
Order, Senator Onyonka.
Kenyans need the information.
Let's
And I'm
give the
giving to
CS
you.
time.
Chair, Honorable CS, now you are heckling. You are out of order.
You're equally heckling
But
me.
this is the tradition of ODM to echo.
You are out
Chair.
of order.
Chair, but
Yeah,
can we also
Chair.
Chair, you cannot
Chair.
allow monopoly of members to only ask questions. Can we also ask?
No, this is on a point of order. This is on a point of order, Honorable.
Senator Spooner.
Yes.
Point of order.
Honorable Chair, the CS must learn to respect Parliament.
not the tradition
Even
of
when he
ODM.
was in this House, members of the executive
the
never
tradition
used to
of,
speak to you the way you are speaking to us.
Mbadi himself.
We defer to you because you are a former colleague, but you cannot behave the way that you are behaving.
If
Honorable
we-
Chair, just a minute. Honorable Chair,
Yes.
if the CS is tired of answering questions by the representatives of the people, let him tell us. Let him tell us. He can walk out and come back on a day that he feels his temperament is something that is befitting of a cabinet secretary of the Republic of Kenya. This is Parliament. We are not here to be nice to each other. You are saying you are giving answers to the public. Those public don't ask you those questions anymore. They ask us. We are the ones elected by the public. So, Honorable Chair, I think the CS must apologize for throwing a tantrum here. Yet we are here on serious business to be able to find answers to the questions of the public that we
Senator,
represent.
to be fair to the CS, because he came here to give his answers, and everybody...
Chair, it's
is
not
listening.
a favor. Let him not behave like it's a favor for CS to appear before cabinet, before Parliament.
If we avoid unnecessary interjections and give each other time, I believe we are going to complete this issue with the clarity.
Chair, I had not even finished my time. I didn't even do 2 minutes.
I had given him an opportunity to answer that issue on these letters that you have provided.
Chair, with a lot of respect, please allow me. I would like you allow me.
You're not even giving me an opportunity to say anything.
I am.
And as I said the other day, let's not just interject on every syllable of every word that somebody says. Let's listen to the CS, give him time. We listen to you with your questions. So proceed with your questions.
Absolutely.
And allow
That
him
is
time.
Chair, that's what I'm asking. Allow me. I've tabled the documents.
I've given
Let him
you the
listen
opportunity.
to me. I ask him 3-4 questions, then
Ask.
he can answer my questions.
Ask.
Thank you, sir.
You have the floor now.
When you did CS, and again, I want to ask your friend who is DG, there was a section when Honorable Sifuna was expressing the matrix under which when you are doing the evaluation. Do you remember the section where we are talking about whether this company has been involved in corruption, whether it has been taken to court? You've seen that? Did you find out what the historical record of Adani is? That will be a question to you. And then, Chair, my last question that I will ask will be to the CS. So please, CS, I wanted, or you can also answer if you're comfortable. So the last question I want to ask, out of the list of my questions, if you look at the section where you are actually again interrogating the issue of due diligence, I have information that if you look at who the ownership of Adani is, you actually cannot know who the owners are. All right, there's information that the Sultanate of Abu Dhabi has got shareholdings to Adani, and there is also the issue that the Indian Prime Minister Honorable Modi actually controls 58% of the Adani empire. Do you have any such information or not? And then conclusively, I wanted to ask my last question, Chair. I hope somebody is jotting down those questions. There is an amount of money that the government of Kenya, when you were sitting and discussing under the IPP agreement, that $48 million will be given to the government. Explain to us how you arrived at that figure. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chair.
Buenos Dias.
Thank you, Chair. First, Chair, let me be very clear that I am not in any way treating the Senate with a condescending attitude. I am very respectful to the Senate. I know that you have a constitutional mandate to hold the government to account, including my office. And the only concern that I have is, Chair, when the Honorable Senator Sifuna started, I asked whether I should just wait, he finishes his questions, and I respond. And I was told no, I could continuously respond as matters come. Why? Now, when it comes to Senator Onyonga, it changed, and I didn't know at what point it actually changed. And so I thought I should address the issue that was raised to me. Now, Chair, in terms of due diligence, I want to again repeat, there are two levels of due diligence. The first one is high level, where you just look at a few indicators, and that is the indicators that were shown. We are at the phase of a detailed due diligence process. If we could just allow the process to be concluded, then some of the questions that we have would perfectly be answered. And again, Chair, I want to just address on this the issue of Senator Onyonga. I don't think those letters you read to us were copied to the Directorate. If they were addressed to any other person, it is the responsibility of the contracting authority to forward
Point of order, Chair.
Formally.
Point of order, Chair. If you look at those letters, they are received at the office of KAA.
Just for clarity,
Yes.
because that's
But
what,
you see, if
that's
it is
why
received,
The letters are received by KAA, so don't lie to the public.
Let me guide, and that's why I was asking for these letters.
Yes.
There are three letters, and it's only received at Kenya Airports Authority, and they are not here. That is one for Nexus Logic. The other one is also stamped by the Kenya Airports Authority, and they are not here. The other one by GMR is not received by any entity. So I would suggest for these ones, because we can always invite the KAA again and again to appear before us. You know, they were here, and I wish you had produced this one.
Point of order, Chair.
Can I get a clarification from you?
Yes.
You know, when the CS was responding, you remember the document that I referred to him, a letter forwarding the PIP. It actually originated from the PS of transport. And his answer, you can play back the answer, was that KAA is domiciled at the ministry. So that if a letter has been sent to KAA, it is with the ministry. That's what he said.
Yes, and that's what I'm trying to guide.
He cannot run away when it is inconvenient and say we have not seen it.
And Chair, because I hear you saying that what is not there in those letters?
No. I just want you to understand.
Yes.
Because I don't want us to just discuss something that is away from their purview. What I'm trying to say is...
Yeah, this is evidence.
Listen, we have admitted this to the committee.
Thank you.
We have them.
So but don't say that it's inadmissible.
But I'm
That's
saying,
evidence.
No, we have admitted them. But what I'm trying to say, and that is what the CA is saying, I'm just trying to guide you so that the relevant questions goes to the right people. Because
Chair,
the letter has been received.
On my knees, I ask you,
yes.
Who do you want me to question?
Listen, I'm guiding you. it is received by KAA. KAA is domiciled at the Transportation Department. We have the Treasury here, and we have the PPP. It's good to be fair to the CAs so that they answer the right questions. Your question, nothing stops this committee from inviting the KAA again and the PA's transport to come and answer on this. So we admit this. And then we admit this.
Excuse me, Chair. The reason why we called my brother John Mbadi to come here is because the Minister of Transport had already lied under oath. He said there were no letters. So we have the letters. We are tabling them, Chair. Please, Chair. Serve Kenyans well, they'll respect you for many years. The reason why those letters are there is because we must interrogate how did Adani come to Kenya and how did they start what they're doing.
And I agree with you.
And I've not asked you about Adani with Ketrako, Adani with Chief, I've not gone there.
And I agree with you.
How did one company take 7 state corporations and is running roughshod over everybody, and every government officer who's coming here is defending them and not giving us answers at how it happened?
Chair, to help,
that is why this committee is here today.
To help Senator Onyonka, I think what has been demonstrated by those letters is that not every PIP proposal or communication on redevelopment of JKIA left Kenya Airports Authority.
Yeah, true.
So the ministry can confirm, at least the PPP secretariat is here and the Ministry of Treasury is here. Let them confirm that the only communication that has come from the procuring entity called KAA is with regards to Adani. So that we draw our own conclusions during report writing that there is somebody at KAA who determines what to forward for evaluation by PPP and which ones do not go to
You've
evaluation.
got my point.
That's all they need to confirm.
Yes.
Let them confirm.
Chair, maybe my presentation was too long, but let me again repeat. The only PIP proposal received procedurally at the directorate was the one of Adani of 1st March. In fact, I even mentioned there was an earlier one of 2023. It was not procedurally brought to our attention. We have only come to know about other expressions of interest through a letter. There is no any other proposal. And if there is, and by the way, the law is clear, you go to the contracting authority with PIP. But I want to ask Chris, there is no information, as far as I'm concerned, Chairman, that we are holding. And that is why we have documented all the other expressions of interest from 2023 to date. And we are not gatekeeping for anyone. I have no reason to gatekeep. So I would want to ask Chris, please, and again, inform this committee whether you are aware of shareholding of Adani, whether Prime Minister Modi has 58% of shares, or 68, or 100, and this one from UAE. With your permission, Chair, could I ask Director General?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members. Let me start with the question about the earlier question. Yes, the PPP Directorate had one representative who went to India for the due diligence exercise, which is not yet concluded.
Chair, could I stop him right there?
Allow him to finish.
Because of point of information.
Be patient, Senator.
Oh, thank you.
Allow him to finish.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's on this Adani proposition. Secondly, matters of corruption and matters of the history of Adani. Adani did make a formal submission, which was notarized by the attorneys. They gave a confirmation about corrupt practices, and also, as a Treasury, we did look at the World Bank debarred list, and we confirmed at the evaluation stage they were not on that list. Honorable Chair, we also confirmed this morning that they were still not on that list. That's Adani Airport Holdings. So we do confirm that. Chair, there's also a matter that has come in about the documents received by on the airport concession. Chair, I'd like to confirm a few things. We did see, I've seen the document that the honorable member has indicated, the one from they're called GT, I think GTR.
GMR.
GMR, yeah. GMR. Yeah, so I confirm this. We were not in copy of that document. That document was never sent to us as the Treasury. We've also seen the only document that came to us is a PIP proposal that was sent to us on 1st of March 2024 and the one of April 2023. The one of April 2023, we were only in copy. I submit.
So your question is answered, Senator Sifuna, on the issue KAA chooses what to forward and not to forward. That is something that as a committee we have to discuss in our next meeting, but you can ask your question, sir.
Chair,
thank you, Chair.
There's just one item, just one small item.
Okay.
The matter on the letter that we saw from the GMR proposal, we actually saw it on social media. We did not see it based on a formal submission. I submit.
Chair, for just a second, I would want him to produce to this committee the delivery books and all the delivery books which they received during that period, so that we can run through and make sure that that letter was actually delivered. And the next action, which didn't take place, Chair, is that once they got those letters and they had picked on Adani, they decided to ignore everybody else who had an interest and picked one horse, and that's what they're running with. Thank you, Chair. And I would like him to explain what they actually did in India. You remember I asked the question? It's something I know, Chair, a little bit. I'll say it later.
Chair, there was also no response on the question of the shareholding of the company. So let's not move to Senator Gerard Gay before that is answered, because you will remember when we were taking you through the documents, I asked the question whether the nexus between Adani and the Abu Dhabi consortium has now been established, and you have a response on record. I'm just reminding you as you deal with the question of shareholding.
Chair, can I just repeat again? Because it should be very clear. What is the role of National Treasury in all this? Is Directorate, the PPP Directorate. Have we received any other PIP proposal on JKIA apart from Adani? The answer is no. To repeat on record, no. If there is any document you have there to the Directorate, I want to be very clear. As to whether anybody from Treasury alongside representation from KAA and the agents, and that is the assignment they were given, and that process is still ongoing.
The issue of shareholding.
Chris Krieger can respond. Actually, I asked you specifically to talk about any information you have about the shareholding of Adani.
Shares were owned by Adani Enterprise Limited. They were Mr. Pravan Adani, who owned one Pritesh Shah, one share, Kruthath Thaka, one share, Sai, one share, and Ashish Shah, one share, which holds a total of 350,250,000. This is what was submitted to us, Chair, during the evaluation stage. This was a notarized document provided by Kenya Airports Authority, by Adani. I mean, through Kenya Airports Authority. I submit.
All right.
Chair, there is an independent way. Surely, you cannot rely on the entity declaration. There exists mechanism of independent ascertainment. Has that been done? And then DG is aware that they had proposed that in the first 2 years after the effective date, that they should be allowed to change shareholding. It is there in the proposal. Honestly, what are we doing?
And Chair, I will not tire from repeating That's why I'm saying we have two levels of due diligence. The detailed due diligence, where you will get all those facts. And it is good it is now being conducted now and not then, because then you would be very clear on the shareholding of this entity. Why can't we just allow the process to conclude? The process is ongoing. Section 27, Honorable Sifuna, being a lawyer, I know you are very strict to legal provisions. I have mentioned two sections, Section 41 and 27. 41 is due diligence at that high level. There is Section 27. The process is ongoing.
Honorable Mbadi, you and I agreed a long time that when it comes to matters of finance, I will not question your judgment. I wish you remember that you also gave me an undertaking that when it comes to law, you will defer to my knowledge on the law. Honorable Mbadi, I know these days you don't attend social functions, but surely if your son tells you they want to marry somebody, the first thing you do is to find out which family that person comes from. Who's the mother of this child? Who's the father of this child? Will be auditing that ownership after the marriage has already been consummated and you find your son has married from a witch doctor's family. Surely.
And Chair, and I agree. And by the way, that was an agreement some time back when we used to lead a very serious party together. But let me just put it this way, that I respect Sifuna in matters law. He respects me on matters finance. The predicament we find ourselves in is we are dealing with a mongrel of both law and finance. In that case, we just need to respect each other and guide each other systematically. Let me put it this way. Now, if you want now to go to the details and audit and find the actual ownership verified, then you move to the next level, where we are. Section.
Before I give a friend of the committee, I have a member of the committee who want to ask a question. So things are changing very fast. Yeah, so Vice Chair.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I served with Honorable Mbadi in the National Assembly for 10 years. And I know him as a man who will not allow the law to be circumvented by any way or any other process that is of public interest. Chair, I would ask the CS this. Now that, from what has been tabled, at least I have seen one letter, the one by a company called Nexus something, that one was received by KAA. And now that there is evidence that there was no full disclosure by the contracting authority, that is KAA, are you then, as Treasury and the PPP Directorate, ready to open up this process for competitive bidding, now that it's not only Adani that has shown interest in this whole thing, considering the issues that have already been raised about Adani? That is one. Chair, I also needed to know, where are we in this process, or what stage at the moment? And Chair, also knowing CS Mbadi very well, that he's a man who will only do what will be of value to Kenyans, that there'll be value for money. I'm sure you are, undertaking, a process to know that there are other interested parties who will do the JKIA airport on less money than what is being offered by Adani. One of the examples I will give you is that Qatar Airways at the moment is building a more sophisticated international airport at Rwanda with a 5-star hotel for less than half of the money that Adani is asking for. Would we not consider such other offers or such other groups that may give us value for our money. Thank you.
Buenos Dias.
Full disclosure. You see, on what method of procurement to use, Treasury's role is just to guide. It's supposed to be the contracting authority, because again, if we give too much directives to the contracting authority, I would again be here for interfering with the process. So we guide the contracting authority, in this case, KAA. And policy direction is from the State Department for Transport. So I want again be clear there that the policy direction will be given or is given by Transport. In terms of where we are with this process, we are at due diligence stage still. I read it when I documented the steps that have been taken. So we are at the due diligence where all the issues that are of concern to the people, including public participation, if it were not for the court process, would still be ongoing as we speak. So there you can easily pick out issues of concern. Now, as to whether there is another provider, you see, this process has not concluded. I want to come back to that again. In fact, it will only conclude when the matter goes to the cabinet, where I sit, and the Attorney General also must give authority. So this process is still going on. And when it reaches a point where we now have to make a decision presented with facts on value for money, I am sure we'll engage our minds properly to it. But I also know, because I've also heard, and I had to inquire, that there could be another interest even after Adani. I have heard, I have no evidence, no documents, that there could be another interest. But then the assurance I'm given is that there is nothing that stops KAA even from initiating another process or PIP. Even if it is a Qatari Airways, they can still initiate it now. And the only provision in law is that if that is concluded and it is better than the Adani one, then they would compensate Adani. That is what is provided in law, to the extent that that compensation is needed to be done. So I think, if you ask me, that this process is still at some stage where I think many of us are rushing to a conclusion that is concluded. Whether it is concluded in some people's minds, I don't know, because I can't open people's minds and hearts. But what I know is, in terms of process and procedure, it is not. It has not come to the cabinet. The Attorney General has not approved it. So why are we concluding that it is concluded? For me, it is not concluded. Till it will be concluded.
Chair.
All right, and just to ride on what Vice Chair had asked, when you are told to provide justification why the project is not suitable for open competitive procurement, in your response, you indicated time. And that is on the document that is on E, PPP Committee Technical Working Paper. They said the reason why is immediate need to develop the airport. It looks like an emergency. But now that you have heard there are other people who are interested, of which we are going to call KAA to come to this committee and say why they never forwarded this PIP. They only chose to forward the Adani one.
You see, Chair, that comment is actually from KAA, the contracting authority. It's not from Treasury. And it is a contracting authority which has made that observation of time. This committee to guide, the PPP committee. But I also want to say this, Chair. Truth be told, our airport needs to be developed. We have complaints about the leaking roofs. We have complained about power. As to whether this PIP was the right thing to do, it's for the contracting authority to address. But what I know is PIP is provided in law. And as far as where it has reached, I have no reason as CS National Treasury of the Republic of Kenya to fault any process. The process is still ongoing. So far, I have no reasons to doubt the work that has been done by both the directorate, the committee, and even the contracting authority. So whether this should be stopped is not a decision I would sit here as CS, and that is why we have independent PPP committee to deal with that, the directorate to guide, the contracting authority. If I now come here as CS Finance and say they should stop, on what grounds?
But you sit at the cabinet and you're going to discuss it there. Would you give such an opinion?
Of course, if it comes to the cabinet, I will deal with it there. And you see, whatever we'll discuss in the cabinet will remain in the cabinet.
Senator Chute.
Yeah, maybe before you give Senator Chute.
I don't know what the CS means. I don't know what it means because I have seen dispatches from cabinet when you have meetings. Why are you saying this one will remain there? Because after cabinet meetings, I usually see something called a dispatch from cabinet on the things that you have discussed. Honorable Mbadi, we live in a country of transparency. If it is a matter affecting all of us, you cannot say as CS that it will remain there. That airport does not belong to cabinet. It belongs to all the 55 million of us. And as the house that oversights executive, I think you should withdraw that statement, Honorable CS.
The recommendations
Chairman, you know, Honorable Sifuna and I, up to recently, I've not had the luxury of being in the cabinet. And I've just been in the cabinet for a few weeks, but this is the information.
So you need some induction.
This is the information I would supply, that communication from the cabinet will come officially. Whatever is discussed in the cabinet is not for public consumption, but what the outcome, the decision is of the cabinet will be communicated. Whoever disagrees and agrees, we will never know. And I'm not at liberty to give my opinion here, because then it will be said that Mbadi was overruled. So let me go to the cabinet and engage my mind at the cabinet. Then when the communication comes, you should know it is a collective responsibility, which now I cannot run away from, even if I had a different opinion.
Okay, Bonas, Vice Chair, quick one, 1 minute.
Yeah,
just 1 minute.
Chair, I just needed to put the record straight that the CS should also know that we in this committee or in the Senate are not opposed to the improvements and maintenance and even enlargement of development at the airport. We are not opposed to that. Neither are we opposed to the BOT, the build, operate and transfer method. We only want Kenyans to get value for money. We want the best to be given in order to do the job at the airport.
Yeah. That's setting the record straight.
Chair, I wanted to ask a supplementary question on what the CS has commented. CS, if you ask today straight to your face, there are these 4 methods of procurement, and you have been approached for advisory because the PIP proposal was brought to Treasury. And then also there are 3 other methods which are acceptable in law that can be followed. Is it possible for you as CS Treasury to guide that because of the nature of this project, let us avoid the PIP and go to competitive bidding, also noting that this project has brought a lot of public outcry. So at your level now where we are, is it possible to advise or to guide that let us stop the PIP because it was brought on by Adani, and then we open it to competitive bidding, so that also you can get an opportunity also to make sure that Adani also competes with other stakeholders who might be interested in the project.
Bonas.
Chair, I only want to request that I'm not pushed to step outside the law. The public-private partnerships procurement methods are outlined in law. A contracting authority may procure a public-private partnership project under this act through A, direct procurement, B, privately initiated proposals, or C, competitive bidding, and D, restricted bidding. So either one of these can be picked and executed, so long as it is executed within the law, there would be no problem. So if it is pointed out to me clearly that there is violation of the law, I would guide otherwise. As to whether there were other PIPs, I'm yet to see. What I have seen here are letters, written, expression of interest. You know, even me, I can write to KAA and express my interest that I want to develop the airport. It doesn't have to proceed to PIP because there are conditions, there are things you have to fulfill. So if it is proved that there are some proposals that went to KAA, proposals, not expression of interest, and KAA did not act, then KAA needs to respond to Kenyans and tell us what happened. As far as I'm concerned, and I want to repeat, Treasury is not in receipt of any other PIP apart from the one by Adani.
My question, Chair, is very simple. Whether as custodian of our Treasury, is it possible to guide the government where you sit, the presidency? Is it possible to guide that this method is not the best, let us go to competitive bidding? Is it possible to guide at that level where we are today?
And again, Banasia, as you said in your response, you actually quoted Section 40, subsection 2 of the PPP Act, saying that the project should be delivered at a fair market price. How would you know a fair market price if it is not competitive?
That is provided under PIP. You know, we are mixing two procurement methods, Chair. You cannot have PIP and have competitive bidding. It's not practical.
No,
so under PIP, to determine that, you do due diligence, technical evaluation, and that is the process.
The line we are talking about, Banacies, is the justification why the project is not suitable for competitive procurement. That is where we are.
You know, the assumption here is that procurement, competitive bidding, is superior to PIP, and I'm not seeing that in law. Can someone point out to me in this act where
it's the law? It's the law that says the one you're holding.
Yeah, this law
that you have to give justification.
Yes.
Why it is not suitable for open.
Yes.
Competitive procurement, not direct. So the one that is superior actually from that line is open competitive procurement, because you only need to give justification why you are not using that. So it must be the one that is superior.
And that is required for KAA to state, and they have stated. You can agree with it, you can
We want you to guide them. That is a question.
You see,
whether you'd want to guide them.
Chair, let us allow the technical evaluation to proceed. Once it is done, once it is done, this process will even come to the cabinet. It will go to the Attorney General. All these legal provisions. In fact, the Attorney General has no capacity to even advise Cabinet Secretary.
I would like to inform the Cabinet Secretary that competitive procurement under the law is superior to a PIP. That is why under section 40, clause 3, paragraph J, you are required to give a justification why you can't use competitive bidding, because that is the default procurement standard. You are supposed to justify why you can't use competitive bidding. So I would like to inform you that competitive bidding is superior and the default position in procurement. So when you want to deviate from that, you must justify. Of all the procurement methods you have given, the law does not require you to say why you can't use direct procurement, why you can't use whatever request for proposal. It requires you to state why you can't use competitive bidding. Because even in Article 227 of the Constitution, clause 1, you have to procure in a competitive manner. So competitive procurement is the most ideal, it is the superior. These others are deviations and they are ring-fenced. You must justify why you are deviating from the standard or the default position. That's why the law requires that justification. So it's a superior method of procurement. That's the information I need to share, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
actually, before you convince the Attorney General to sign the concession, you have to prove that you have complied with the law. And so that will be complied with. We are at a stage where we are still processing this transaction. It has not reached the level where now you can hold a contracting authority or anybody for failure to perform what is supposed to be performed still.
Okay, let's have, you see Senator Fernandi has been raising his hand. Let me just give him 3 minutes. Yes. He has, for the last, I think, 20-30 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, thank you. Waziri, relax. I'll ask Dangatan-like questions. That is very simple. I'll not complicate your life. So relax and sit. Thank you. Chair, through the Chair, Waziri.
Are you using a microphone?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Am I audible enough? Yes. Thank you, Chair. Waziri and DG, are you aware that Adani company, and I'll request that you write down so that you'll respond once and for all. Are you aware that Adani group of companies have any affiliates in the country? Number one. Number two, there is a report by a consultancy company of America called Heidenberg Consultancy Company Limited. In the last 2 years, they uncovered tax manipulation and other illegal things that made Adani group of companies lose $100 billion. Are you aware of such? And the recent one of Swiss authorities where allegations were facing Adani company that the account in Switzerland of 310 million had been frozen. Number three, in your Annex B, you are presented on the issue of work visa. That area, Waziri, is grey. What will be the fate of Kenya Airports Authority employees who were just demonstrating the other day over their worry and the fate of their work-related? And it is not clear who should Adani come with, because the issue of expatriates, the issue of qualification at one of you. Number four, there is a tunnel clause of 18% at the end of 30 years concession, a period of 30 years that there is a tunnel clause of 18%. Does it mean after 30 years, Adani will continue owning JKIA, our airport, with a stake of 18% forever until Jesus comes back? Number five, I have letters here, and I don't know whether DG, you are aware, there are many letters from then PS Irungu Nyakera on developing Konsa Airport. Are there any PIPs on that matter? The sixth, Chair, I have seen most of the correspondents have the former Minister of Roads, Kipchumba Murkomen, there is the former MDK Alex Kitari, and former CS of National Treasury, CS Ndungu. Is it possible to invite them to the committee to share more light, because it looks Waziri Mbadi is shooting in the dark? Is it possible to have them, including what was happening in Dubai, under the guise of other things? So is it possible so that we can get the correct version? Let us have, and I want to advise CS Mbadi, we know you just came the other day. Don't carry anybody's cross. If this thing is grey, call it as it is.
Leave it.
Run away from where you come from, and your SG is here. It is good to stand with the truth and the transparency. So if the other people messed in office, don't carry any other. Then the sixth question, I have seen the letter in Annex F, that was addressed to PS Dagar. And they are saying the JKA land will be provided by KA. I thought all land below is managed on behalf of National County through National Land Commission. You need to clarify that. On the issue of fixed exclusive concession fee, is about 47 million. And in fact, per annum, and they are saying they will adjust 10%
Inflation.
based on inflation. Don't you think this is expensive for the country? And finally, Chair, on the feasibility report that was done by KA to Adani, In your own opinion as an auditor, was this an insider trading, or let me, for lack of a better word, that was being used to try and perpetuate, in conclusion, Chair, to try and perpetuate giving state capture, yes, giving upper hand to Adani group of companies that is running everybody, is running Shiv, is running now Ketraco, is running our airports. Who knows, they may come and run our wives and our children if we are not careful with this Adani group of companies. So, Chair, I request CS Mbadi, tell the country the truth. Every Kenyan, from even Suba to Nandi, would really want to know your position on this matter. And I want to say, with exception, Chair, when you took an oath of office to protect the rule of law and the Constitution, you cannot be part of an illegality. It is also your responsibility to advise the government on the rule of law and the truth, Chair. So, Chair, on this issue of Adani, I would have expected a lot from, and that is why your former colleagues in the other side of the aisle do not believe who you are, because we wanted you to tell us the truth as it should be. So please run away from this one. Thank you, Chair.
CS.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, whether Adani has affiliations locally, I have no idea. I think I will later allow my DG, who has interacted with this a lot, to tell us if he's aware of any affiliation, local affiliations, though there is nothing really wrong with having local affiliates, if you ask me, if it is procedurally done and made public. American consultant making allegations, I have no
processing there. With who and why? On this 100 billion, Bwana CS, it is on record in the Indian stock market, the SEBI, which is stock exchange market of India, has investigated this gentleman and found out of tax manipulation and others, it is on record, is $100 billion US. So it's not allegations.
So, Chair, let me again repeat what I said. We have a process that is ongoing to date. A very extensive technical evaluation. If all the facts that Senator Cherargei is bringing forth is accurate, that will be found out. It will be discovered. I want to be on record. From the information I have, my DG has not traveled to India on this matter. There is an officer from the directorate, but it's not him. Now, let's talk about the workers.
Yeah, if DG is on oath, why is the CS answering on behalf of the DG? Can the DG just confirm?
But Chair,
he said
he's also on oath, so he
said he's going to give him an opportunity, so allow the CS to first of all finish.
Chair, actually I wanted to raise that from the beginning.
But you are with us in Parliament, how would you know he had not traveled?
That the letter, you see, I've come to answer questions on behalf of the National Treasury.
I know.
And Chair, I would want to just request that that is respected. I am
no, we don't. I don't have a problem. No. You know,
Senator,
CS Mbadi.
Can I just
Senator Cherargei?
You know,
CS time to
allow the CS.
No, the deputy speaker should hold resources. You are in charge, Chairman.
Allow the CS to express himself.
But I'm saying on issue, if we want to find out if you came from Kiambu today, should we ask your vice chair? You are the one who can answer. Yes.
But you see, Chair,
there is a reason, Chair, and we are not asking that question in vain, whether the DG traveled to India or not.
And we want the passports.
We will table a heart-shaking evidence and passports and boarding passes.
The DG will answer after the CS is done.
But Chair, can I also mention, and I wanted to say it earlier, but you ruled, and I respected, that the letter to Treasury was inviting the CS. The others was to accompany me. If you look at that letter, In fact, even putting the digit under oath, the letter I have, and I want to repeat, dated 18th, was addressed to the CS, and in that letter I was asked to come with my PS, to come with the DG, and to come with other members of the committee. So I am the witness.
Yeah, but nothing stops this
But
committee from
that is
asking
why
anyone,
the DG has
not
been
just the
responding.
DG.
He will, and I say it, he is here, he will tell you. I have just responded that the officer who came from the treasury to India for this due diligence was not the DG. If the DG went to India...
Can you table the evidence of that, officer? Thank you, Chair. As a procedure of Parliament, can you table the details on the date and time and the hotels he slept with? Other stories we don't want, just the official ones. We know there are many unofficial.
No, you know, Cheragay, that's information.
No, Waziri, you answer me through the chair.
Senator,
you are not answering
through the chair. Chair.
Yes,
A public officer traveling using public resources can never be secret. If you want to get information on who.
Through you, Chair. Through you, Chair.
You know, Chair Gay asked about 8 questions, and we have not even had.
Through you, Chair.
Can we have the 7 questions
100%, but the CS is wasting time. The reason is very simple. Even the people who went to India and the flights they took are known. So don't go that route. You talk about, do you want this thing to continue or not? That's where we are.
With due respect.
Yes.
I am supplying information. Let me supply it. If you have your information, then don't ask me. If you don't want me to say what I know.
Point of order, Chair.
Let's have the CS. I won't entertain.
I am giving you the information I have.
I won't entertain.
The information I have is that there is a team.
Do you have the DG's passport for us to see whether he traveled or not?
Senator Onyonka.
Chair, can you be in control of this meeting?
Senator Onyonka.
Everybody's talking.
Are you directing
I will switch off your microphone. I will switch off your microphone. Allow the CS to answer so that Senator Chute can also ask questions. Let's not waste time with interjections that are not necessary.
Chair.
Give him 2 minutes. Senator Chute, I'll give you a minute after he answers the question. Otherwise, why were we asking the questions if we cannot allow the CS to answer them? So kindly give him time to answer the questions. When a CS, go direct to the questions.
Matter, I want to say the officer, if you want the information of the officer who was sent to India from the National Treasury or the Directorate, we can provide it.
Next question.
On the staff, work visa, the staff, it is clear, it was clearly spelled by the committee that all the staff of JKIA will transit. So that is there in the report. So I don't see why that should be a problem. On the issue of 18% up to 30 years, I'll ask Kirigwa to respond to. PIPs for Konza Airport. Again, Kirigwa, you can tell us if there is anything to that effect. Correspondence by various CSS, and I've been told not to carry anybody's cross. I am not carrying anybody's cross, on Senator Cheragay, through the chair. I have no reason to. And by the way, what I'm giving you are facts. I am the CS National Treasury. When a matter like this comes up, what I do is to get the information. I have looked for this information. I have supplied the information which we have. Any other information that is flying out there, I don't have it. JKIA land will be provided by KAA, and you said that is not procedural. This is what the report captures, the report of the committee. Land acquisition or allocation should be aligned with the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport master plan and subject to availability of land and requisite approvals, in bracket KAA board, National Land Commission, other relevant government agencies, which would include the person who is in custody of the title deeds. And that is where my office is. Noting that KAA has existing leases on land with third parties. So I think I've addressed that one. Feasibility report. The info I have, the feasibility study was done by Adani. and
transited to Adani. Because, is that what he said?
Yes.
Because, Chair, I remember when I was asking questions about the percentage of employees that Adani wants to take up, the CS told this committee that he didn't know. I don't know if that figure has now been supplied now and he's saying 100%. CS Mbadi, you have given two answers to me and I'm confused. What is the position?
Can I repeat?
Yes.
And I said it. In fact, if you listen to my written submission, what I told you that I'm not aware of is whether in the proposal of Adani, it specified that they will only take a percentage. And I said I need to check whether they stated that. But the report of the committee, and I beg that you allow Honorable Sifuna to focus on me so that he can...
I am very focused.
The report of the committee is very clear.
Point of information.
100%. In fact, the committee has recommended that before this matter progresses further, that Adani must ensure and commit and confirm. And I want to repeat it. I want to repeat the report. The PPP committee also directed that the following should be addressed in the concession agreement. It is page 12 of my submission. D, that the contracting authority, Kenya Airports Authority, should ensure that current employees of JKIA are onboarded by the concessionaire on priority basis and on better terms. Further, that the concessionaire gives preference to recruitment of Kenyan nationals in all positions. So I'm not giving two answers. The answer that I gave you about not knowing the percentage is when you asked me that Adani had proposed a percentage.
Yeah,
I
so
said
CS,
I didn't have
you're confirming as a CS for National Treasury, you have not read the proposal from Adani. You don't know what is in there.
Let me tell you, Chair, I really even don't need to read the proposal of Adani. Because
how can you say that, Honorable
Actually, the CS Treasury has very limited role. The only thing I am doing is to look at the procedure, how it is followed. And my directorate has looked into this matter, has found gray areas, including that issue of staff. And the committee, the PPP committee, has made a recommendation which should be binding. Then what is the problem?
At the very least,
what is the problem?
Yes, my expectation.
If you want to go that direction, then there must be a public participation.
Forgive me, Honorable Mbadi, for holding you in very high regard. But you know why? There is no way somebody comes knocking at their door. You don't even find out what this person wants, what they are saying, who they are, where they've come from. At the very minimum, you must know what is contained in the proposal so that you are able to answer these questions. It is clear in that proposal from Adani that it is not everyone they intend to absorb. So you are saying what we should do. You are saying what we should do. We should push them so that they take everybody up. But at the very minimum, as a person responsible for your docket, you should know what they are asking for.
Yeah, and you said, Banasias, from that section D you have just read, that the JKIA employees will be onboarded on priority basis. You know that word, on priority basis? You know, they might not even have priority, but I don't know what it means.
Chair, let me remind this committee of the position that was taken by the CS for transport. Correct. You know, part of the problem we have been told about this Kenya Kwanza government is that there is no clarity in communication.
Broad-based government.
Kenya Kwanza. Kenya Kwanza government. Honorable Chair.
Chair, it's bread-based.
Stop distracting me. The CS for transport told us that as far as the employees for the airport are, and because you are not here, let me brief you. Mambo ni matatu. You will either take a contract with Adani or choose to remain with KA, but you cannot work at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. They can send you to Malindi, or You quit and you take a package of, what is it called? A golden parachute package. So, Honorable CS Mbadi, this is why we were insisting that even though we know the oath of secrecy in the conversations at cabinet, what we want is coherence in communication of government policy and the position. So which one are we supposed to take? The CS Treasury or the CS Transport?
And also the CS Transport told us that if we cancel this deal, we are not going to lose any money. But you mentioned we are going to lose money.
Yes. Where we are, there is no deal. What deal are we talking about? As far as I'm concerned, there is no deal. This is a process. And so there is nothing you're going to lose. You'll just return the money.
Chair, which money?
Let me just put it.
With the public uproar, why don't you recommend to be cancelled?
Leave it.
Leave it. Walk away from it.
Let me just put this.
If it works or works like a duck, it's a duck.
Like a duck.
Chair,
The smell is skunk.
why are you rooting for Qatar Airways?
No, I'm not saying I'm Qatar. No, Chair, can you withdraw?
Yeah, good
I have
question.
known that he's
Get one even from Uganda. Get one from
You
Uganda.
can get one from Ethiopia.
Can you
Yes.
withdraw?
Let me put it this way. Chair,
This is the corruption we don't want.
Chair, can I just?
We don't know even where
Can I just
Qatar is.
respond to this issue?
Let's have
Why
the
is it?
CS. Let's
Of
have the
employees.
CS.
And the PS withdraw
Because I
that
think
part
this is
of
very
Qatar.
important.
Chair,
Let the
since
CS talk about the
Kenyans,
employees.
can you withdraw first?
What?
For saying we are lobbying for Qatar, you didn't listen to
No. I almost asked the same question.
Yes.
So I almost asked that question because I don't know why we are throwing names here and others. So just give your response.
Chair, let's temperature has not rise. Let me come back to it. The issue of employees. There is no inconsistency, Chair. You cannot take all the employees of KAA to work if they don't want to work. That is why it is said they will be onboarded on priority basis. And then, if you look at this document we call heads of terms, it's very clear that during the interim management period, the JKIA employees will remain employed by the grantor. The concessionaire will make an offer to the existing employees on terms that are no less favorable to their existing terms of employment. In fact, this provision of the law
have you done some
is even clear.
public hearings for you to say that?
Public hearing.
Public participation.
Do I address that?
Yes.
You know, Chair, I have said the committee recommended public engagement. It is in my response. It is a process that is ongoing now. Yeah?
Chair.
If it were not for
Excuse
the
me,
courts,
Chair.
the stoppage by the courts,
Excuse me, Chair. Employees of Kenya Airports Authority were forced to go and hold a meeting under gunpoint. Being told by
Chair,
his people
Chair,
to go and sign documents
Chair,
that they have attended the function.
That's the same way when the senators get agitated when you make wild allegations. Please.
They are not wild. We have the evidence. They can table affidavits in this committee. They are not wild. John Mbadi, I don't even have a child who works at the airport.
I also don't even have
Those are your people being kicked out.
Senator Onyonka,
They can never be wild.
calm down.
Chair, I doubt whether this country.
Calm down.
Calm down.
Chair, I wonder.
When you talk, when
your committee of allowing peddling.
No. It's
Chair.
because I have given everybody
Chair.
an opportunity. You cannot shout back at each other. I'm giving everybody an opportunity to express themselves. So can he finish? If you have an additional question, you ask. So,
People are being fired from work. Look at those workers. Go and see them when you're traveling.
Chair, point of order, Chair.
can I
It's
have
absurd what we are doing to this country.
Point of order, Chair.
You know, by saying
Chair,
wild
kindly
allegations,
invoke
it's dangerous.
Standing order 105.
Yes,
Please.
I'll get there. When you give your statement, it must be a statement of fact. I don't want you to use this committee to get video and viral clips so that you can supply them all over. What I'm trying to say, no. Chairman,
We elected you to be our chair. We want videos. That's what you always do. That's also what you do. Isn't that what you do? That's what you do when you're fighting Wamatangi.
I'm telling you.
Out of order.
We are not like you.
Senator
This is
Onyonka.
a national matter.
Chairman, we can
Not
move
agree to be removed
from that chair.
This is
cannot talk to us like
have
that.
been
No,
chairs.
sir.
And
This
we
is
have
not a
done
TV
better.
interview.
You
Chair,
cannot,
being chair,
cannot be
some of us
intimidated.
have been chair.
We cannot.
Chairman, you cannot say that.
No.
We have shared.
If you disrespect,
We have shared in this parliament
if you
with Mbadi in the
disrespect
last
the chair,
Just say so.
and I chaired a
If you disrespect
of jail act.
if you disrespect the chair,
Kenyans.
if you disrespect the chair, I'm going to invoke every other standing orders that will make sure that you align.
You can go ahead. You can go ahead.
Let's have Omtata. Kindly, don't use this committee to come.
Chair, you can't say
No. I have.
You cannot say that.
Because there's a deal coming.
Cannot say
What I'm
These are
trying
the
to say.
deals which have made our country become ungovernable.
Let's have Senator Omtata.
Senator Omtata, with respect.
Just have
let me
Senator
say one thing to
Omtata.
them.
No, I'm the chair, not Omtata.
Yeah, but chair.
Let's have Senator Omtata.
Chair.
I'll give you an opportunity.
Yeah, please.
I'll
Let's
give
not-
you an opportunity.
Let's not proceed in that fashion.
I've been giving you some
You also must
time.
must respect the
Can I have
members.
Can I have Senator Omtata to ask his question?
Chair, you know it's impeachment season. Please don't joke around with us.
It doesn't matter.
We will impeach you.
I will stick within the standing
No,
orders.
gusa kila kitu
I will
lakini
stick
usiguse
within the
mlima.
standing orders.
Gusa kila kitu
Yeah.
lakini usiguse mlima.
Let's have Senator Omtata. Senator Omtata.
Always pretending that.
Yes, Honorable Chair, thank you for the opportunity. And I would want to begin by saying that Honorable Waziri, also thank you for giving us a well paginated and arranged documents. I must appreciate that. It has been easy to follow your documents. I only wanted to refer you to Exhibit BB and CC. Those are drafts of the ALG reports, and if you look at Exhibit BB, it really has got no value. It just has an index, just a list of indexes. But when your brother Honorable Chirchir was here, he brought us final reports of that study. So I don't understand why you brought us drafts when your brother brought us final copies of the reports, on which I had wanted to ask you questions, but you brought drafts that are not really applicable. So I would be asking, I've got two documents I would like to table here, which I would ask I think copies are with the clerk. There's a dispatch from the cabinet, that's issue number 8 of 2024, and there's an affidavit that was filed by Adani in High Court Judicial Review case number E199 of 2024. And I would like the minister, I'll refer the minister to that document. But before I get there, there's this letter that was given that came from the State Department of Transport, dated 1st March 2024. It's a small detail that is really disturbing me. The letter is dated 1st March 2024. It's coming from the Department of Transport. You have told us here that the KAA received a document. It went through the document, found it suitable, gave it to the department to forward here. Now, when you look at the Adani proposal, it is dated March 2024. This letter is dated 1st of March 2024. Did the KAA receive a document that had not been authored? Because I'm finding it extremely difficult, even assuming that document is dated 1st of March, I'm finding it extremely difficult that a document dated March had moved from the Kenya Airports Authority, had been received there, had moved from the Kenya Airports Authority to the Department of Transport, and then it had been submitted to Treasury on the 1st of March by that letter. Either we are dealing with fiction or something is not adding up. So to clarify that, you say that upon presentation of the proposal, $50,000 US was paid. Can I have the receipt of that money so that I can confirm the day when Adani made the proposal? I've checked your documents, I don't see that receipt. I would like to be assured of the date.
Buenos Aires, you have Another question?
Yeah, no, I just want that to clarify because that looks like fiction. So you'll clarify that. And as we go ahead, I would like to put to the CS that the requirement for due diligence is not in two stages. Section 25, Section 27, and Section 40, Clause 2 and Clause 3 have to be read together. You cannot have two reports of due diligence. It's your creation to try and justify an excess. There is no provision in the law for two stages of due diligence. The two sections have to be read together. Otherwise, I don't know what we shall be doing. So to me, it's only one due diligence that should be done from my reading of the law. The first one is a general provision of due diligence, the one under 27. The one under 25, under 40, is specific, and it's just to make sure that you don't miss that within this particular process. So I don't see how you are reading the law to get that you can do two stages of due diligence. Another question that I have is on in this. When you look at the item you have brought in as the Adani, which is also what the proposal, that is exhibit under H and I. I would like to walk you through that document by the Adani group. And one of the questions is I want you to show me where in that document Adani is giving Kenya even 1 cent, and whether Adani is an agent of the government of Kenya or an investor, or whether Adani is a broker who is looking for investors, and whether we are walking the same route we walked to the SGR, where it proposed that it was going to head the money, then it said it was going to look for investors. Then at the end of the day, we ended up with something called government to government through the Exim Bank of China. So I want you to show me in this document that you brought where Adani is giving Kenya 1 cent. Forget about the billions you're talking about. Or whether Adani is presenting itself as an agent of the government of Kenya to put together a consortium of financiers. Also, as we go, I want to refer you to, I've looked at this document, I didn't have much time, I've looked at the document. I want to refer you to page 5 of the document, and you will see my concern there. That's the third paragraph, the last line of the third paragraph. It says, the proposed project will be financially financed by Adani airports to cover short, medium, and long-term goals through suitable debt and equity as highlighted in detail in this PIP. Now, when you begin going through the detail of the PIP, I think it's when you go to page 37, I got page 37. You look at that program called Section 7.3, the Special Purpose Vehicle. Under that flowchart, it written, Adani Airports intends to bring strategic/financial investors for proposed development of various aspects of JKA master plan, including terminal, airside, and landside. And it continues. When you go to paragraph 47, page 49, there's some that's I think the first, second, third, the fourth paragraph is headed robust EPC contracting process. Bullet 1, we would implement value for money initiative with engineering, procurement, and construction EPC contract. We would prioritize reputable contractors with a track record in large infrastructure construction. We would tie payments to milestones and project completion, ensuring accountability. So, we're talking of other contractors whom Adani will bring in. When you got the second bullet, is equally important, but for time I'll read the third bullet. Strong supplier-contractor relationships in the realm of airport development. Our contracting process stands as a testament to our commitment to excellence. We meticulously engage with major contractors renowned for their expertise in large-scale airport infrastructure projects. Our approach prioritizes partnerships with reputable contractors, ensuring seamless collaboration and exceptional project outcomes. Payments are tied to project milestones and staff are repeating that. When you go to the next page, robust capital management, that's point 3 on page 50. They talk of we propose to negotiate favorable terms with lenders, including interest rates and repayment schedules, and leverage the airport revenue potential to source competitive financing terms. Next bullet, we propose to explore different financing options, including loans, bonds, etc., and consider the cost, terms, and flexibility of each financing method. We propose to structure debt in a way that aligns JKA, whatever. So when you look at this, you say, and there are many other places. So is Adani investing in Kenya, or is Adani doing a brokerage service for the Republic of Kenya? I would like to be enlightened on that. When you go to page 56, you look at something called direct agreement stroke substitution. It says GOK, that's Government of Kenya, to enter into direct stroke substitution agreement with the lenders. Then they require land for free of encumbrance and what have you. You have 56, and as we walk through, you look at something very interesting. On page 57, they are talking of change of laws. GOK to enact or amend the existing Kenyan laws to the extent required for fulfillment of the terms of concession agreement to make the project bankable and ensuring the commitments made to the investor are met. So we are required to change our law to conform to the investor, or whatever that means. So I'd want you to explain to me what that means. And as we go through, I want to point you out to another issue that I found disturbing. There is KAA on page 56. KAA to issue sublease to concessionaire of land for the purpose of development of commercial real estate. What has a commercial real estate to do with a construction of an airport? And then, of course, the next one also talks about transferring those licenses. So when you come to the work visa, it says Government of Kenya to assist to arrange work visa for skilled expatriate required for the execution and operation of the maintenance of the air project. And that is tied to another place whereby they have talked of the issue of employment, which was coming up, whereby they clearly indicate that they are going to come in with their own workers. That's on page 59, paragraph 6. They talk about they will offer employment to mutually agreed percentage of present KA employees. They are not taking all of them. There will be a mutually agreed percentage, terms and conditions recorded, and the concessionaire concessionaire may employ itself or on secondment or contract basis non-Kenyan employees. It's clearly stated there. If you look at number 9 again on page 60, GOK to enter into direct substitution agreement with lenders. And now these documents you did not bring, the one that the Minister Churchill brought us, and which is in the record of you brought us drafts by the Minister Churchill, brought us complete documents. If you look at the document that was titled, dated 13 December, that is the ALG Global Infrastructure Advisors, whatever, agreement with the KAA, you find their terms of reference are given. And then when you go to that report, the final report, you gave us a draft final report for KAA review, February 16th, 2024. You brought us the draft. This is the final report. If you look at page 21, it gives the scope of what the project has done and how they have gone around this thing. But of interest in this particular project is page 28. He says, well, there is a unique development plan, that financial assessment. Well, there is a unique development plan for JKA. 2 scenarios were evaluated as per the government request. Airport PPP and the terminals PPP. So it goes on. First of all, it tells you that there is a development plan for the airport. And that brings me the question, what is Adani initiating when the government has got plans to develop the airport? What is Adani initiating? What is privately initiated in a going concern? Where is the initiation by Adani? Then as I proceed, Chairman, just some minutes. Yeah. When you go to page 30 of the document, key regulatory issues, legal, regulatory, and contractual due diligence. Says procurement, this is the analyst now saying on procurement method. On procurement, it says the regulatory framework applicable to PPPs in Kenya is generally clear and provides for sufficient flexibility in order to organize an open tender process compliant with the best international practices, brackets, which is the procurement method by default under the PPP regulations, and is our recommended approach. The preferred tender process is to be confirmed with the KAA and the government. So the evaluator is recommending an open tender system to identify the procurement. And then the last issue is about the Director General. The Director General, from the information I have, I did some search on him, and the information I got is that he had been appointed as the Deputy Head of Mission in Washington, D.C. What is he still doing here, and what is he gatekeeping for? Why has he not gone to his new appointment? Or has that appointment been cancelled? Number 2, when you look at...
Senator, summarize so that...
Yes, I'm summarizing.
Be able to answer.
I'm summarizing. You know, they brought a lot of documents in a short time. So, I would like to refer to ask the Director General, did the Evaluation Committee conduct a mandatory market testing prior to deciding the suitable procurement method? Because you are required to procure the market rate. So did you do a market testing? And what is involved in a market testing that is required under PIP? Then you got the heads of terms, which are essentially negotiated aspects of the PPP transaction. They have already been signed. When you look at that document, there are signatures of 2 people on every page. They have actually signed. I wouldn't expect to have signatures on a draft document. They have actually signed. What does that mean? And then when you come further to there's already a company that has already been incorporated. And that is that affidavit I've given you. If you look at paragraph 9, the Adani group acknowledges that they have incorporated a company to deal with this program. And you know that under section 68, that company can only be incorporated after the agreement has been signed. So if you're having a company and you're telling us the agreement has not been signed, are you operating outside the law or are you operating within the law? Look at paragraph 9 of that affidavit and what it says. Finally, I would like, and the company is known as Infrastructure PLC. I've given, at the end of that document that you have been supplied, at the back is the CR12 for the company. It indicates who the directors are. We have done that due diligence and been able to extract this from the Registrar of Companies. So the company exists. So you cannot tell us, Your Honor, that the contract has not been signed when the procedure in law says that such a company is only incorporated after the contract agreement has been signed. Now the very last issue, under section 68 requires that. The very last issue is the question of the dispatch from the cabinet. When you look at the dispatch from the cabinet, you will find that it says that you need to conduct due diligence on this company. When I did some desktop research, I came across the case that is given on the third page. It was a case where this company, on the document I've circulated, where this company was accused of misconduct in India. And if you look at the conclusion on page 46 or 46 of that judgment, an order is given which reads, now therefore, and this is available on the desktop, I just searched on the internet. Now therefore, I, in exercise of the power conferred upon me under section 11 and 11B, read with section 19 of the SEBI Act 1992, further read with SEBI, Prohibition of Fraudulent and Unfair Trade Practice Relating to Securities Market, Regulations 2003, hereby restrain the promoters of Adani, viz. Adani Agro Private Limited, Adani Impex Private Limited, Crown International, Shahi Property Developers Limited, Adani Properties Private Limited, Advanced Exports, Intercontinental India, from accessing the securities market either directly or indirectly, and also prohibit them from buying, selling, or otherwise dealing in securities in any manner whatsoever for a period of 2 years. There is that conviction, therefore, corrupt conduct. So, and it's dated 25th May 2025. Finally, if you look at the cabinet paper, I want to ask, how is the PPP sitting with the Kenyan, the policy of the Kenya government? If you look at another cabinet paper on page, it's page 104, look at page 3. It starts with to strengthen the aviation and to further cement Nairobi's position as an aviation hub, the aviation sector to Kenya's growth by enhancing connectivity at both the national and international levels. Cabinet noted that the aviation ecosystem in Kenya is robust, but pointed out that it was imperative to enhance the capacity of Kenya's international airports to meet the existing and projected demand, which is estimated to rise to 42.1 million passengers a year by the year 2050. Cabinet also considered and approved Jomo Kenyatta International Medium-Term Investment Plan that includes the upgrade of the passenger terminal, runway, taxiway, apron, and airslide facilities in keeping with the global aviation trends. Now, when you look at what the cabinet approved, and this thing is dated 11th of June 2024. That's after the Adani proposal had come. You realize that the Adani proposal is totally outside the national policy in what it is proposing to do at Jomo Kenyatta. So how do you reconcile that? And if you look at Section 25(2) of the Act, Section 25(2) of the Act, under the national agenda, only one new terminal at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport with an additional capacity of 20 million passengers and upgrading that to a permanent facility was planned. So, how did Adani, how do you meet the requirements in Section 25 of the PPP Act, which requires that the proposal must be, the PPP proposal must be aligned with the national policy? When you see very clearly that the government, the policy the Cabinet approved on 11th June, after Adani had submitted their proposal, is totally smaller than what is in the proposal of Adani. So is Adani a government on its own, or is Adani going to obey the government of Kenya and what the government of Kenya has projected for Jomo Kenyatta? And are we really dealing with the PIP in these circumstances, or are we dealing with something else? So those are my questions to the minister, and the time was too short for us to interrogate this for me to interrogate these documents at a deeper level. That's what I was able to do in the 15 minutes the chair gave us, and maybe I may not have been very clear in what I'm trying to say, but those are the anomalies I would like the minister to clarify so that we can see if we can move ahead, and also why this thing cannot be stopped when the section he gave us, I think it was Section 43(11) what, whereby you are required, if the thing is Ibonoko, you are required to call it off. And why you cannot call it off, given that a review by this committee is basically pointing to a situation whereby you are dealing with a fraud.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Senator, thank you very much. That's you did your own research within the 15 minutes. That's very impressive. But as yes, you have the opportunity.
Chair, the issues raised by Honorable Mutata, a mouthful. I don't know whether it would be practical to answer all of them, but what I'll do is I'll answer the general ones and leave the specific ones to Chris Kirigwa, the DG of the Directorate, to address. Let me start by addressing, and I understand the frustration of members, Chair. Frustration of members is coming about because this process is still ongoing. If this process probably could have been complete, a lot of the issues being raised now would be answered with would get definite answers. But let me try to answer. On the issue of...
I would like to reject that approach, because the law is very clear that the PPP proposal comes as a complete package. There are no stages for anything else. Just look at look at Section 40. The document is supposed to be so comprehensive. So you are trying to lead us outside the law, when the law is very clear that the proponent, because it is somebody proposing, he's saying he has got the money, he wants to do something for you, so that he wants to grow his capital as you also benefit. So he cannot come with a system whereby, again, the government is investing in it and doing all that. We look at the proposal he has given us, and it's a single proposal, and the structures in the law are very clear. So, my brother Mbadi, I think you are taking us to the law as it ought to be, the way Honorable Sifuna said, and not the law as it is. A PPP comes as a complete package under Section 40. It has to be comprehensive.
And you see,
right.
I was referring to the process. PIP proposal is the beginning of the process. So the process is still ongoing as we speak, and that is why we are even here to discuss whether it has been complied with in terms of evaluation and assessment. On 1st March 2024, we got a letter from the Line State Department of Transport forwarding the PIP proposal by Adani, which was received by KAA. That proposal is dated March, I would have only had issues if we received it on March 1st and it was dated April or May or any other date. Since the date was not in the document and it was indicated March, we can only conclude, or the directorate could only conclude, that it was done on 1st of March, and then the forwarding was also done the same day. On due diligence, I want to persuade the senator to seat Senator Omutata to, I know he is entitled to his own interpretation, but I want to persuade him to agree with me that there are two due diligence that have to be conducted. The first one is under Section 41, and it says that the Directorate, in coordination with the contracting authority, shall, before commencing an evaluation of a privately initiated proposal, conduct due diligence, confirm that the private party has complied to, and there are 5 items there. So that is a due diligence. The other one, which I also treated as due diligence, is actually not Section 25, but Section 27. Section 27 says that a contracting authority intending to enter into a project agreement, now it is talking about the agreement with a private party, shall, before the execution of project agreement, confirm that the private party has A, the financial capacity, B, the relevant experience, C, the relevant expertise, which now includes where you are going to, and you talked about another contractor being brought in. Those are supposed to be evaluated at this stage of Section 27, and then satisfied that legal, social, and environment due diligence parameters prescribed by the Directorate are complied with. So this is what I was calling another due diligence, which is presently supposed to be conducted, why not for court case. Now, on the issue of Adani Group and payment, as far as I'm concerned, there is concession fees, which I think was supposed to be negotiated. It's in the report, negotiation report, and a figure of 50 million USD per year is mentioned. And I think that's much more than now what KAA is making. Now, on strategic investors,
maybe just clarify, 150, that was it from operations, or was it money being brought in to be invested? My concern was, where in that document is Adani bringing money into the Kenyan economy?
You see, Chair, unless maybe I'm not getting Honorable Omutata's question, what I was addressing is what are we going to get once this project is executed? Every year there's an annual concession fee. But now
I'm not talking about paying running of the airport, splitting what is earned. I'm saying as an investor coming in, not operating our airport, but as an investor coming in, what is Adani, and where in this proposal is Adani bringing in money into the Kenyan economy?
Mr. Chairman, and I will allow Chris to now take the rest of the questions. What is the equity component that Adani is bringing? 300 million USD. What is the loan component? 700 million USD. So those are the figures that I have. Now, I would allow, because there were some specific issues that were brought out by Senator Omutata, I want Chris Krigo just quickly, I know there are too many, but just quickly run through the issues. And by the way, Chair, I just wanted to mention for record that I took this issue very seriously. That's why I compiled heaps of documents which you are to ask for 20 minutes to understand or read and acquaint yourselves with. I gave it my best. So if there is any idea that we didn't take this one seriously, I think it's not right, it's not correct.
Okay, well noted. Banadiji.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, CS. I'll start with the last one so we can flow along. Yes, the CS has indicated the equity component on this transaction was 300 million from Adani, and they were coming in with a debt component, which is on their balance sheet, not on Kenya government balance sheet, on the transaction. In the various phases of the transaction, we are also going to invest further through internal generated cash flows. Allow me, Chair, to tie in something else about the 18% with this money. What Adani was supposed to collect, if this transaction was to conclude, is on the $300 million equity, they were only going to get, initially they requested for 18%, that was negotiated downwards to 16% on the transaction. Anything above that, the debt portion was going to be charged like to like to the users of the facility. So they were not going to make anything above that. And the 18% that they initially asked for was not going to last over and above the concession period. It was only going to be there for the 30 years, and immediately the concession is completed, they exit. They have no further carry on after the concession.
Mr. DJ, the document is paginetted. Can you point me to the page where that equity is and where those figures are in the proposal?
Yeah, through the chair allowance, I'll get you the exact location of where you get that amount. I'll share it with you just now. Yes. My technical team will put it together. Give me a few minutes. In terms of just going back to what Waziri said, currently KAA makes approximately $45 million per annum. At the head of terms, the agreement was that the KAA stated that they require a minimum of $50 million per annum to continue with their operations. This is going to be paid as a net amount to KAA by Adani Group. And after every 5 years, there's going to be an escalation of this $50 million. Anything Adani makes above the 18% equity on the return of equity of the 300 million, the 16% of the 300 million, anything above that was going to come in to Kenya government. I'll go now back to the initial questions through the chair.
All right.
Chair, I'd like to start on the matter of...
Yeah, he has not shown me where in the document money is coming into Kenya. That's the question I'm asking.
He was to answer.
Time. He's going to check.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, he first of all answers the questions, and then he's going to give you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I apologize for that. We're actually going to share that with you. Chair, there were a couple of questions about the due diligence, about the Hindenburg report and the Swiss authorities' outcome. The Swiss report came out on 13th of September, which was just last week. Yeah, we did see the report. However, the process has been halted due to the court process. So we're not doing any further diligence as we speak, as Waziri had indicated. Yes, we saw the Hindenburg report. However, the Hindenburg report, the further due diligence was going to capture any findings which were going to either allow us to proceed or stop the transaction. So that due diligence was going to be taken care of in the detailed due diligence that CS has touched on. I'll say CS has touched on heavily on the staff. I don't think I need to touch on that. I've touched on the 16% and the 30-year. The Konza airport development, I do confirm we have not seen and we're not in sight of that. Dubai involvement, there were comments made by some members about Dubai involvement. I confirm not to have engaged with Adani in Dubai. Neither have the only period we've engaged on Adani on this matter was 100% on the JKI transaction, and those discussions have been held here in Kenya. Chair, in terms of also just to clarify to the committee, I have never traveled to India on a matter of JKIA. I have traveled to India on other matters, but no meeting on JKIA. Chair, the matter that about insider trading of Adani, I confirm I am not aware about any insider trading of Adani.
Well, I've attached the judgment to make you aware. And just like maybe final through the chair, on the document I shared, the document I submitted, the fourth page of that bundle, the bundle about the cabinet, dispatch from the cabinet, there's annexed there. Number 14 airports operating under PPI in the country. And it's instructive that we have got Ahmedabad, Mumbai, Jaipur, Thiruvananthapuram, Guwahati, Lucknow, and...
Where are you reading, Senator? Where?
On this document I brought. If you look at the extract I've highlighted in there, you will see to the airport that there are factors there, but these are the airports under Adani. If you read the document, I'm just summarizing it. If you read that document, it shows that all those airports are making losses. So when you talk of Adani coming to make profit in Kenya, I don't know what informs that. Because the airports are running in India, from a study from the Indian Civil Aviation, it has listed those airports as making losses. And this is a document I downloaded from the Civil Aviation website of India. So I don't know how, when you talk of Adani coming to make profit in Kenya, what informs those kind of statements or those kind of expectations?
Chair, thank you, Chair and Honorable Omotata. I'd like to confirm this, Honorable Senator. I am not indicating that Adani will make any profits in Kenya. I've not given that indication, and I'd like to confirm that. What we did as a directorate, we received the PIP. And when we received the PIP, we did process it. But allow me just to go through the full sequence, Honorable, through the Chair. You'll get more details. I've taken a number of your questions once Waziri has not cited.
And finally, you are standing. You are supposed to be in Washington. What are you doing here?
I will answer. It's part of the things. I have not.
All right.
I've got a lot of.
Summarize. You know, the sugar levels are going down.
I understand. I understand. I'll go very fast.
Because it's 7 p.m.
I'll go very fast. In terms of the SPV, what we have picked up was just recently registered on 30th of August. We are not aware about that as a directorate or either the evaluation committee. I can confirm from the Treasury. We're not aware of that SPV that was the one you cited. In terms of change of laws, yes, they had requested for change of laws, but we indicated to them during the negotiation that that was not acceptable. We cannot predict that the government will change a law due to a transaction. So that was clearly indicated to them. On the land lease also, it was indicated to them that that will need to be managed separately between Kenya Airports Authority and Adani. That was not part of this transaction. It was out of scope. Waziri has touched very well on the employment. I will not touch on that. In terms of the legal provisions about PIP and competitive, certainly, I will make this statement. A competitive process always gets a better outcome, but not always, but most of the chances gets a better outcome. Yeah? We have faced a competitive transaction that went through the PPP transaction and became completely unaffordable, which is the Nakuru-Mau Summit Road. That transaction was actually cancelled, not by the contracting authority, by us at the Treasury, where we saw that the cost to use 175 kilometers on a small car was going to be 1,500 shillings, and we stopped it. We shared the advice based on affordability and value for money. So in terms of which obviously would a preference would be competitive, but also it's whereby we also monitor the components of the project to ensure we get value for money for the transaction.
I think DG on the Nakuru-Mau Road, I think we don't have the data, and we don't know that you did due diligence when you are doing the procurement, so we may not be able to use it as a standard to gauge the viability of competitive bidding versus PIP. The question about this PIP is this a PIP? What is being initiated?
Yes, this is a PIP. Confirm that. Honorable Chair, the Honorable Senators asked me about my appointment as Deputy Ambassador in the US. Yes, I was appointed. We've not finalized in terms of my terms. I was appointed in Treasury in 2020 December, and I was appointed as the Deputy Head of Mission in Washington, D.C. in March of this year. And since then, a lot of discussions have been ongoing, and I've not yet formally accepted my appointment. And the reason for this is purely because the terms which are presented do not match my existing terms.
Have you rejected the appointment?
I am hoping they will fix my terms, Honorable Senator. There's a letter that went out to them. I think it was 2 weeks ago.
I think that's okay. The last, you have a minute?
Yes, I'll finish. Thank you. I'll finish within a minute. Market testing, in terms of did we conduct a market testing on this transaction? The answer is no, but we know from market that there's a significant market interest for airport PPPs. A number of parties, including banks, development finance institutions, have come to us and indicated that there's a lot of interest in JKIA. And also, following the letter that we received from the State Department, they had also received quite a bit of interest on JKIA. A market testing is conducted through a market survey, either by visiting potential proponents or potential investors. We didn't do that. The PIP initials on the heads of the initials document you're talking about, it's the heads of terms. Yes, that is not a binding document, but it's initialed by both KAA and Adani. I think I'm on the last one. Yes, the aviation policy, yes, it was approved in 11th June 2024. We confirmed that. However, the process of Adani PIP was still ongoing. To form two final submissions, with your permission, Chair, very final submissions. For any PPP project to work, you need to do a detailed feasibility study, and the contracting authority needs to spearhead that from the onset. And that's why, if you look at part of the submissions we had indicated when we showed the different procurement methods that are available for an airport concession, the letter dated 9th September, which is on your folder, indicated to KAA all procurement methods available and what they need to do to undertake those procurement methods. Chair, with your permission, lastly, there's some comments which have been made, and I'll talk about it, which is on self. I'm a career professional banker, came into government to provide public service. I have done a number of project finance transactions, syndicated loans, and I have not benefited on a personal capacity on this matter. I submit.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Senator Chute, I think you're the last one, so that we can come to a conclusion.
Chair, thank you very much. I know we are all tired, and I want to have a few questions, and straightforward questions. And Chair, the behavior of our fellow senators earlier was not good at all. And they wanted to ask many questions. We were here. We also wanted to ask some questions, very specific ones, and we couldn't get an opportunity. Having said that, Bwana Chair, I want to first of all congratulate the CS for the good work he's doing. And I know he's been doing well for this country as also minority leader and also as CPAC chair. Chair, I just want to tell the CS Finance, there is the issue of infrastructure bond or floating some shares to Kenyans. I want him to look at that opportunity, if that can work, because he's been fighting for Kenyans for many, many years. And since he's now at the helm of the Treasury, I want him to go back and rethink of how, if a proposal, if he can also have a parallel program to look into those things. Why am I saying this? I have a lot of connections with Ethiopia because of the border in Moyale. In Ethiopia, when they upgraded their airport, they borrowed 500 million from Exim Bank of China. And you've seen what the airport is. They are now managing about 22 million passengers every year. And again, they've now started a program for about 45 kilometers from Bole Airport to host 100 million capacity a year, and that will cost them $6 billion US. And they are looking for funds. I know our Treasury CS can talk to his counterpart there and ask him, how did they manage to borrow money? And if I may add, there is Gilgibe Dam, a huge dam. The government there sold some shares, even to Kenyans, Ethiopians and even Kenyans, and they've almost completed the dam. And that, if that can be managed, let him start a parallel program. The other issue, Chair, there is the issue of ALG. There was a transaction, that is a transactional advisor. They were procured in 2022. I don't know if the CS is aware. If you're not aware, you can check. They did some work on JKIA, on the request of the Treasury. And again, KIA also, or JKIA also, procured the same group. I want to know from the CS if they were procured under what circumstances. Is it a competitive bidding, or what process was used? And on the same issue, this contract is supposed to take how long? The same contract, both for the Treasury and JKIA, and terms of reference. And on the ALG also, I would want our friend Chris to tell us, they withdrew on 17th of July. Why did they withdraw? And if there are any correspondences on why they withdrew. The other issue raised by Senator Omtata on the issue of Chris being appointed head of mission in Washington. But on CS, there is a letter from LSK asking questions about Chris, why he has not reported to Washington. And is he earning salary as appointee of head of mission in Washington?
You're done?
No, just one. Finally, on Chris again, there was a meeting discussing on how to negotiate the matter between JKIA and Adani. And I wanted to know if that kind of a meeting was there, how many meetings you've had, whether Chris was there, and if he was there as under what capacity, and if we can be given those minutes. Thank you very much, Chair.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, Chair, thank you. I will respond to most of them and leave a few to Chris. And I want to thank Senator Chute for what he has just observed. Chair, I want to, with all due respect, again repeat that I respect and take the work of the Senate very seriously. Probably, maybe my absence in the Senate last week gave a wrong impression, but that one, when I appear before this plenary, I will be able to explain. Maybe my former colleagues thought that that was out of not regarding the work of the Senate seriously, and probably interfered a bit with this meeting to some extent, but I will explain that when I come before the plenary. I want to just respond to a few issues. Number one is the senators clearly stated that if we could consider and maybe work on issuance of infrastructure bond, which is a very good method of financing or getting funds to finance our infrastructure. Unfortunately, Chair, where we are, the fiscal space is not there. Actually, our debt to GDP ratio is at 67% plus, and yet it should be no more than 55. In fact, we have committed that by 2028, we should lower the debt to GDP ratio to 55%. So taking a huge project of this magnitude on any kind of borrowing is not sustainable in our fiscal space. That is the reason why now we have to look for other off-balance sheet methods like PPP to get our airport done.
Yeah, I talked about floating shares also, floating shares.
Floating shares, yeah. I think, okay, well, that should be considered. Now, on joint venture, I want also to mention that, yes, it is true that Ethiopia is doing very well in the region. And that is why one of the reasons I want to plead, whatever we do as a country, whatever we say, it is important that we develop JKIA to meet the standards. Otherwise, we'll lose the regional hub that we have been. Actually, we have started losing to Ethiopia, and it's not good. We will even lose to Rwanda very soon. So it is important that no matter what we do as a country, there must be some motion towards ensuring that we develop JKIA. We cannot continue with business as usual. On ALG, procured twice. It's true, it was procured in 2022, but that time it was supposed to help us do aviation policy, to work on the aviation policy, and it was competitively done through the National Treasury.
Point of order.
Yes.
Bonasias, I have a report that says that they were given two things to do, on the issue of aviation and also JKIA. I have even copies of the documents.
Yeah, so it was about the investment plan and also JKIA. But now the last one, which is 23-24, was direct to KAA. And this was procured by KAA to do feasibility study. And this was a direct procurement. As to whether it was done correctly, I think that's something we can interrogate.
Again, Chair, I asked about Treasury also in 2022. Was it procured a direct procurement or a normal process has been taken?
The 2022 one was competitive. That's the information.
Yeah, can we get
competitively done? We can get that information, but the information I have is that it was done competitively. Now, on Chris going to Washington and whether the CS National Treasury is aware, whether probably is earning two salaries, I would say this, that as National Treasury, which has hired Chris through PSC, until we get a resignation letter that she has taken up another appointment, and she is offering service to the government of Kenya and the people of Kenya as the director of the Directorate of PPP, we have no reason to stop paying him. But I can confirm that he's not earning a salary as the deputy head of mission to Washington, meaning he hasn't taken up this appointment. The time he takes up the appointment, I am sure he will submit the resignation letter, because the law does not allow you to be employed by the same government twice. On the other case of Chris, I think he will now address that, and if there is anything I've left out.
There is the issue of LSK letter. If you are aware, fine. If you are not, if you can check with your previous.
Yes. Yeah, the LSK letter about the employment of Chris.
Yes, why he has not gone to Washington?
But you see, Chair, I don't know whether I would push my employee to take up another assignment if he doesn't want to. If he hasn't resigned, I would be comfortable if he stays behind and help me work, because I've not got a replacement. But it would be illegal if he takes up two appointments. I mean, if he fails to notify or resign and still continue.
Yes, we are in a broad-based government now. If he has rejected that offer, somebody from your area can be.
Anyway, I would want, maybe the only point I would make is that Chris should finalize negotiation quickly with the appointing authority regarding his terms, so that another Kenyan, because Kenyans are complaining of unemployment.
Yeah.
I think he should not take inordinately too long to make up his mind. But that I would make as a general comment. In terms of procedure, what I have is that is my employee, is my staff at the National Treasury, and he hasn't absented himself without any permission. So he's offering 100% service to the National Treasury in the directorate. Thank you. Chris.
Thank you, Waziri. Thank you, Chair and member. Waziri, to touch on, I'll start with the last question that was asked about the negotiation process. As Waziri said, I'm still a National Treasury employee. I attended the negotiation. Actually, there are 3 stages of interactions on this, which was the first stage was a PIP submission stage. When the PIP was submitted, there was a technical team that sat in between JKIA, the National Treasury, which is represented by the PPP Directorate, and also the State Department of Transport. That the meeting took place to evaluate that submission from Adani, and immediately that was the evaluation team submitted. They sent it back to the Directorate through KAA, and we submitted it to the PPP Committee for approval. I interacted on this matter when it came to the Directorate, not during the evaluation. And the second stage is a project development phase, when the feasibility study is submitted to the National Treasury by the contracting authority. The contracting authority receives a feasibility report from the proponent, which is Adani. They did receive it. They did submit it to the PPP Directorate. We did set up another evaluation, the same evaluation team, who sat in to evaluate that proposal. That did take place. I was not part of that evaluation, and that was submitted to the PPP Committee, which I'm a member of, and it was approved to go to the next stage. Lastly is during the negotiation. Then at the negotiation stage, this is whereby we had a raw document, not a really raw, it was a better improved document from the first submissions that Adani gave, because they had done an on-ground feasibility. I did take place on the negotiations of that feasibility during the negotiation session. We did that together with KAA, the State Department of Transport, and there were also other state departments that were invited for this, including State Department of Transport, the Attorney General's office, and also I believe Kenya Civil Aviation Authority was also invited for those sessions. Lastly, I confirm what my Waziri has said. I do not receive two salaries. I only receive one salary, and I'm here to serve the country. Thank you.
Chair, there is a question they've not answered on the ALG advisors. They quit on 17th of July. Why? And do you have any correspondence, if you have a copy?
You're absolutely right, Honorable Chair. Through the Chair, Honorable Member. Senator, they did quit. What happened is we're having an engagement with ALG, and ALG mentioned to Kenya Airports Authority and gave them some reasons. We never received any communication, the formal communication from ALG. We had requested for it from KAA. We've never seen it to date. And I can confirm this, we were not party. We were not party of contracting ALG. We were only party of contracting ALG in the aviation policy that was completed in 2022 through a competitive process with
we are here on behalf of Kenyans.
I'll say it's not normal for a transaction advisor to exit. It's not. Yeah, and despite of any disagreements, a transaction advisor gives you